Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Hey!
Here we are.
Welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show Monday style. Has the sky fallen that the Cavs lost last night?
It's over. Season's over.
Cancel the season?
Wrap it up.
That's it?
That's it. I'm not interested
Bull
anymore.
cares about the regular season again?
No, it's gone.
Hey, man, I see you got that MacGyver on. I like that.
MacGyver look?
Yeah, that's that MacGyver. You look like you about to make a bomb out
Give
of
him
some
scotch tape and ginger ale, and he'll blow the studio up.
Some toothpaste.
The funny thing about that is I am the real life MacGyver. Like, you give me a paper clip and a piece of tape, I could do anything with it.
Speaking of shows from that era, how come on the A-Team nobody ever died? These guys were like a unit they were supposed to be the best military unit. All they did was shoot at tires. They only shot at tires.
That's right.
That is kind of messed up.
Well, why on chips does Ponch always save the motorist just before the car explodes?
Always.
Every time.
I mean,
he never got caught up in the explosion.
And why was Airwolf unstoppable? Why was the military letting him run around with the most top secret helicopter of all time?
Favorite TV show of the 80s?
Oh, man.
I mean, growing pains for me. And moonlighting. I loved moonlighting.
Moonlighting was great.
I love Moonlighting.
I know
it was so good.
I know it's weird to bring it up now, but I got to say, The Cosby Show.
Oh, yeah.
Cosby's
it was appointment
great.
viewing.
I mean, that show was awesome.
Cosby Show.
It was awesome.
Thursday's NBC lineup, you couldn't miss it.
Cosby Show, Family Ties, Cheers, Night Court, L.A. Law.
It was the
At its
original.
time,
It
yeah.
was the original must-see TV.
I did not get into Cheers until it was on like Nick at Night, and then they played the reruns, and I was old enough, and I was like, "This is brilliant."
Yeah.
What is this? I mean, my aunt used to watch it all the time.
Yeah, very good.
And
Character
Cheers
development.
managed to replace two main characters, and the replacements were still really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is rare. Usually when they do that, the shows jump the shark and it's gone.
Exactly.
I used to love Little House on the Prairie. Don't know why.
My wife never missed an episode.
Little House on the Prairie, boy. When that girl went blind, I was emotional.
Yeah.
Laura Ingalls. I was like, "What you mean you can't see, Laura?"
Now I'm imagining.
Right, her eyesight back into the show.
I need that tomorrow.
Now I'm imagining G. Bush as a character on Little House on the Prairie. I think that would be great.
No, that would be called Amistad. Or
No, there was in the North.
Little House beats Amistad.
yeah, like
Coming soon.
We was
There was
preoccupied.
occasionally.
We were preoccupied at the time.
There was, if I remember correctly, there was a black character on that show. It was the North. It was Minnesota.
I mean, were you guys hiding us or something? What we were doing?
We were sheltering you from the South.
Talk about why.
Underrated show from the 80s, wasn't on very long. One of my all-time favorite shows, The White Shadow.
That was a great show. Great
Do you remember
show.
a show called Beauty and the Beast?
Oh, yeah.
I do not. Oh,
Yes, CBS.
Oh,
yeah.
CBS got kind of out there a lot.
You know what CBS has done recently? They've recreated old shows, but with women.
Yes, yeah.
Matlock.
Matlock.
And Matlock is now a woman.
And Matlock.
Kathy Bates.
Matlock
Right.
was the truth.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
With great choppers, by the way. She's got new teeth now. It's like she could do a dentist commercial.
What was that show? What was the show where they had a motel? It was a hotel, and there's just three guys that all named Daryl.
Newhart. That was a great show.
There was the Bob Newhart show.
Yeah,
then
but then it was Newhart.
Newhart.
Yeah.
I'm Daryl's, my other
Brother
Daryl's,
Daryl, my other brother Daryl. That was a great show.
Coach was great too. Minnesota
was
was Minnesota.
Coach. That is Dustin's all-time favorite show.
My dad looked just like the old guy. Not
Chopper. Dauber. No, that was the big guy.
Yeah, the
I
old
can't- I know who you're talking about.
Jerry Van Dyke.
Jerry Van Dyke.
Yeah.
All right,
People
very
approach my
But-
dad asking for autographs.
But
Really?
Yes.
That
They
show
looked like
did
Jerry
jump
Van
the
Dyke.
shark. Remember the last year or two he went to coach in the NFL or whatever?
Yeah.
It jumped the shark
It
at
had
the
lost
end.
my interest by that point. It had lost
Yeah.
my interest.
By the way, before we get into anything else sports related, I was involved, believe it or not, on Friday in a road rage incident in which I was not the angry party. Do you believe this?
You
Someone
were
was mad
being
at you?
raged upon.
So this is funny. So I'm driving through Lakewood on Clifton. Everybody know Clifton Boulevard in Lakewood. It's a big four-lane road.
Yep.
Okay.
It gets a little hairy there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's the speed limit there is 35, but people traditionally drive faster on there.
They do.
You keep up with the flow of traffic.
Yeah.
Now, I do not tailgate, ever. I don't believe in tailgating because I spent my entire adult life before moving here tailgating. In New York City, you have to tailgate.
Sure.
You have no choice. Everybody does it. You're going to...
It's also why Bo doesn't go to the Muni lot. He's anti-tailgating.
I mean, not that kind of tailgating.
Yeah, right.
But so I drive, like, I always give the person ahead of me plenty of room. I never drive up anybody's butt like,
right.
Hello, pause.
Super
pause. Anyway, so I'm driving. This guy's in front of me. We're both going a pretty good clip, maybe 45, maybe 50. I don't even know what I was driving.
But it was over the speed limit.
Over the speed limit, but so was he. I was kind of keeping up with him.
Right.
All of a sudden, we're in the left lane. The guy in front of me jams on his brakes.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, holy cow. So I have to like almost swerve to get out of the way. Now, I would have been able to stop in time, but I did start a little bit of a swerve to get out of the way. And then all of a sudden, he starts driving again. And I'm like, I don't know what's... I thought maybe he was going to hit an animal or something on the road.
Do you think that he thought you were tailgating and he was telling you to back off?
No, I guess.
Because that's a universal signal.
Because I did have to go
check.
a little.
Right.
So maybe he was a little closer than I like, but I wasn't tailgating. I know the difference of a safe distance. That's why ultimately I wouldn't have hit him even if I hadn't swerved, but I did just to be on the safe side.
So does it elevate from there?
So then at the next light, he had moved over. But again, I'm not thinking anything of it. I turned to my side just a little bit, and the guy's sitting there.
Wow.
He's like, and I'm like, what? I had no clue what was going on. So I open my window. He opens the window. He's like, you're driving like a lunatic. And blah, 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 blah. He's like screaming at me like a madman. And normally in the past, I would have started screaming back. And I just said calmly, I was like, you're the one who just jammed on his brakes in the middle of the street. That's it. And then he's like, F you. And he drove off. And then like 2 blocks later, he starts to pull away. He slows down as I'm going straight by him, and he's doing this in the window. Like,
wow. Wow. Well,
I found it funny, but it was crazy. This guy was insane.
He probably watches the show.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. Guy was probably about, I don't know, he looked like he was a little older than me. Maybe he was 60 or something.
Wow.
He was angry.
There's a lot of rage out there, but I'm proud of you, Bull.
I stayed calm.
Now, what is this? What do you credit that to? Is it a New Year's resolution?
Me
is
staying
it a kinder,
calm?
gentler Bull? What are we dealing with?
No, I don't think I'm
Old
kinder or
age.
gentler at all.
Mellowed out.
When your testosterone level drops, the stuff that used to, like, somebody butting in the line at Home Depot used to get someone dropped.
Yes.
Now you're just like, come on, bro, really?
It's enough.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen somebody do a chat and cut? This is from Curb
what?
Enthusiasm. A chat and cut?
No.
That's when there's a line and somebody walks up to somebody in the line and starts talking with them as a way to cut into the line.
Oh, a chat and
I would
cut.
not put up with that. I would call somebody out.
Yeah, I imagine you would. I imagine you would.
But I don't know. In this one particular case, I was very calm. I don't know. I can't say it's going to happen
the other
again.
place people lose their minds? Waiting in line to get on an airplane. Which always...
God.
I am so befuddled by that.
Yeah.
I would be fine being the last person to board the airline every single time. I don't care. We're all getting there at the same time.
Yep.
And why do you want to rush to get on a plane to sit in a phone booth?
I hate it.
Like, just chill.
It's worse getting off.
It is worse getting off. Sometimes
crazy.
people have to catch up. I was on a flight last week, and this lady had she was in Atlanta, and she was going A to D. Now, if you know Atlanta, that's not...
Yeah, fine.
And she had said to me, she was sitting next to me, and she had said to me, I've got to hurry on my transition in Atlanta because I've got to catch a flight. And I said, I'll run some interference for you. And so I did. We were like 3 rows back.
Yeah.
So as soon as she stood up, I stood up, and I told everybody around, I said, guys, this woman has, elderly woman.
That's fair.
She's got a connecting.
Yeah.
Can we do everything we can to get her out? Everybody was like, yeah, no problem.
Exactly.
No problem. I hope she made her flight.
Yeah.
But everybody just take a breath.
Some people get a little nuts with rushing off that plane. If you don't have a flight to catch, wait your turn. Stop being an idiot.
I agree. Yeah.
Before
We're all getting there at the same time.
Before we jump into stuff, and then we have a big thank you because we hit 50,000 subscribers this weekend, so we want to say thank you very much to everyone out there. We really do appreciate it. But before we jump into what we're going to start today's shows with in the Cavs, I got a source from inside the Lloyd household who wanted me to ask about your road rage Taco Bell incident.
Oh, you had a road rage incident?
Come on.
I have a source. I just got a text from the source who said,
inside the Lloyd household?
Oh, wow.
I have a source inside the Lloyd household.
Oh, Mike, you got to change your number, man. We can't. This cannot continue.
Oh, wow.
I love that Jason.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We've got fractured loyalty going on here.
Oh, it's not fractured.
the only way we can-
There's no loyalty this way. It's all that way.
Okay, so now tell us about Taco Bell.
Pass. What happened?
This was years ago.
Oh, years ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
this wasn't recent.
But it must be good.
It's referred to the house in the Lloyd house as the Taco Bell drive-through incident. It was late at night, and we were it was her and I. I don't even think we were married yet. I think we were still dating. That's how long ago this was. And the brakes were wet. Like it was, and the brakes were you know how like the brakes squeal when you're and you're in line, and this woman comes on, like the woman inside. She goes, "Stop that." And I said,
What?
Stop what? And she said, the squealing hurts my ears. I'm like, I'm in the drive-thru. What do you want me to do? And I just lost my mind. I started screaming at her. And I said, you need to learn some customer service. Like, what do you expect me to do? I'm going to stop car in the drive-thru.
You didn't then order and consume food from this woman.
Oh, yeah. I think we had already ordered, and like the line was so long we hadn't
Could you
moved
taste the
yet.
saliva?
That's right.
I'm just wondering.
I mean, if you're eating,
Because it was in there.
oh my God.
But again, it goes back to your point of like when you're younger, everything sets you up.
Oh, man. Your fuse is that big.
This is literally, that had to be 20 years ago. I can't believe she texted you.
Now, how did it...
I did not say who texted me. I just said a source inside the household.
Okay, well, the kids are in school. So who do you think it is, Mike?
So let me ask you this. How did it resolve itself when you got face-to-face?
She apologized and said, I'm sorry that it hurt my ears, and I think I might have grunted some sort of half apology as well, and that was it.
So all's well that ends well.
But what's more
except for the
ridiculous...
saliva in the food.
I guarantee
what's more ridiculous is that she's got like this open line of communication, because like when we were on that cruise and we did this hike, and I'm like telling you guys, like, can you believe I did this hike?
Yeah.
And she already sent the picture. He already had the picture.
I was waiting to use that picture the next time Jason said something, and Jason sent it. So
Yeah.
Jay, there is a spy amongst us.
Oh.
I mean, the loyalty, the fractured loyalty.
Again, there is no loyalty on it's all over there.
That's it.
And
Wow.
She would sell me out for a gallon of milk.
That's what y'all get for that's what y'all get for marrying people that speak English.
We should all marry someone named Rosebud.
I don't know.
Rose Bush.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. See.
So, I'm glad everything ended well. It reminded me, do you guys remember the skit on Letterman where he would work the Taco Bell drive-thru window?
Yeah.
And he would basically mess with all of the customers.
Yeah.
It's if you haven't seen it, and most of our audience has not, they probably don't even know. They think David Letterman's Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Google David Letterman Taco Bell drive-thru window, and I guarantee you it will be the funniest thing you see all day.
man.
I think
It
David
was
Letterman
hysterical.
looks more like the Unabomber than Santa Claus right now.
he's-
Have you
off the
seen
rails.
J. Leno lately?
Oh yeah, he looks crazy too.
I said, what the
Why, did he grow a beard also?
He was
Yeah,
all-
he's-
he was
He's a
bruised
mess.
up and
he got messed up in
He
that.
fell down a hill.
It was-
He
Yeah, and I
fell
heard there
down
was-
a 40-foot hill.
I'm like, man.
Yeah.
I think he got jumped by the cartel.
I don't know.
Yeah,
what
that
happened.
was the rumor, and he addressed it. He actually addressed the
Yeah,
rumor.
he said that he was hungry and trying to take a shortcut he was in some town for some show, and he was doing stand-up, and he rolled down the hill. And I mean, it looked like he
was-
fell into a volcano, not rolled down a hill.
By the way, that's wild.
We did a great
is what
job
happens after the
stalling,
Brown
so we didn't have to
season's
talk
over.
about the Cavs loss last night. But we will start there today
Yeah.
after a quick word from Game Time. Live events are the best games, concerts, comedy shows, you name it. It's better live, and there's no better place to get your tickets online to a live event than with Game Time. Game Time is making it even easier now to get tickets to your favorite events with their newest feature, Game Time Picks. The feature filters out fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. If you want to check out the Cavs' next home game, it's a week from today, 3:30 in the afternoon against the Suns, and Ant has the best and cheapest game deal tickets. Ant, what's the current get-in price on Game Time for the Cavs-Suns matchup?
You can go sit in section 202 for $38.
That's a steal. That's actually a great deal. 202 is a great view of the court. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it, Paul?
Game time.
So last night, the Cavs saw their 12-game win streak come to an end to the hands of the Indiana Pacers. They shot poorly. That's fine. But before we dive into some specifics, I wanted to show you some of the reactions we got to the loss on Twitter. Once the game ended, I tweeted this out. Steve, take tag board full. Just a bad game. It happens in basketball. Wouldn't look too much into it. Season lows in field goal percentage and three-point percentage. Hard to beat anyone with 37-27 shooting splits. Indy played well. Give them credit. Thought their full court pressure disrupted Cleveland's offensive rhythm. Ready for the rematch on Tuesday.
And by the way, the Pacers didn't shoot particularly well from three either.
Not great, but that's not the point.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
got you. But go ahead.
The next tweets I'm going to show you guys are all responses to that tweet. Nothing great. Like I'm not looking too much into it. These are all responses to that tweet. And let's take the first one. Comes from Day Stefanski and Garland to Timbuktu. Pacers and Hawks expose the Cavs for the frauds they are. Next.
Frauds.
This is from 94 Feet of Cavs. Merrill cannot play for this team again.
I hope
Next,
there's
Dan.
sarcasm in here, but I can't
None
tell.
of this is
No, they're being
sarcastic.
serious.
Austin. Season's
That's
cooked.
sarcasm.
That can't be true.
Next one.
That can't be.
Ball out. Trade Spider Mitchell.
Okay,
He
now
also
that
tweeted
is
at me.
sarcasm.
Some of these are sarcastic.
That's
He
sarcastic.
also tweeted at me 3 or 4 times.
See, here's the problem.
saying
Sarcasm
Mitchell
doesn't
is-
translate.
I
It's
know.
very difficult to tell.
We need a sarcasm font on Twitter.
And those are the last
That's a
ones.
great
They
idea.
also responded to other
he has
tweets
those
with
sometimes.
similar sentiments. I think there were some people, not all, some people that are legitimately concerned that last night's loss to Indiana is some sort of blueprint or some sort of expose on why the Cavs' 33-4 start was fraudulent. And I don't see it that way, so I'm curious if any of you guys are taking a bigger look into what went wrong last night and if that's replicable by other teams moving forward. Or was it simply a bad shooting night, which happens all the time in basketball?
That's what I chalk it up to.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine anybody that's serious in their. I mean, you could be critical in the micro, I guess, of the one specific game, but if
To
you're
discount the whole season?
yeah, this just doesn't make. It's stupid. I think anybody getting worked up about it is should be disregarded, or they're being sarcastic. It just doesn't make any sense. It was a terrible game. They played like crap, especially in the second half. What else can you do?
Even the best NBA teams have 15 games a year where they play like that.
And the Cavs have had like 2.
They miss
3.
they miss shots. They turn the ball over. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the one thing that I mentioned it on Friday that I think that they're starting to realize is you are going to get teams' best shots.
Yeah.
You saw it with Toronto. You saw it with the Pacers. You're going to see it on there's a big road trip they got coming up: Indiana, OKC, and Minnesota. So, and that is not anything that they had to experience early in the season.
Right.
So that's something that's happening
Well,
in
when they
real
were
time.
15-0, I mean, I think
I
teams
still don't
were
think.
gunning for it. But now, I think
another level.
You know, I know the Bucks won the the in-season tournament, but right now, if you were to ask most of the NBA teams, I think they think the crown is on the Cavs' head for this
The
regular
target
season.
is. The crown is not. The target is.
Yeah.
Well, the target goes with the crown, and I think it happens. Now, I will be watching this next game with Indiana very closely. Is there some sort of loophole that they've found? Is there a cheat code? The Hawks seem to find something out.
Those teams are not built the same way. Now, if you're looking for the demise or what their flaw is, the flaw to me is still the Hawks and the Celtics and the Thunder. Now, they've beaten the Celtics and the Thunder, but it's those long athletic teams on the wing that can switch everything. That's what would give the Cavs trouble more than the Pacers. Just play fast. They score a lot of points. They're not a bad team. They went to conference finals last year.
They're also right now on a 6-game win streak.
Yeah.
leading the league
They play
right now.
well.
They're playing very, very well right now.
I think Kenny Atkinson is smiling ear to ear. He loves this. He loved it. See, this is going to be a great opportunity for him to go in and have some great coaching to this. He's going to tell them, hey, listen, guys, just like Jason said, you're going to get everybody's best shot.
Yeah.
So there are points in times where you watch that game, Indiana had more energy. And you're going to have more energy when you're hitting shots. That's just what it lends itself. You're going to have more juice when you're hitting shots. Now, they didn't hit that many shots. They hit more than the Cavs did. I also think that there are some different things you could take away from this. What I saw as I was watching the game, there were times where we talked about the rotations. And Kenny has hit all the right buttons. Every time he throws somebody on the floor, it's worked. Every time he decided to leave somebody on the floor, it's worked. Every time he brought another guy off the bench, and whether it be Merrill or Strus or Dean Wade, whatever, it's been working. This game, I looked at it, and there was times where George Niang wasn't hitting shots. Max Strus got the ball taken from him like 5-6 times in a row, it seemed like. And he was very patient with him. He still staggered Donovan Mitchell and Jarrett Allen with two bigs, two guards. And there was times where if this was a real game in the playoffs, I think he would have been like, let's come back with the starters real quick. I thought he could have came back with a little quicker in this game, but that's just something he's working through. So that's why he's excited that they lose a game like this, so he can see in real time, like, okay, if this was a playoff game, would I come back with my guys, or do I trust my bench guys who've been helping me all year? So I think that's something. You never get better when you win. You get better when you take these L's.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously is going to coach a little differently in the playoffs, but I'm never going to be critical of his player usage because he's done such a great job. Yeah. The one night it doesn't work, then, you know, if you want to argue he kept bench players too long, I would say, you know, we're only saying he kept them in too long because they didn't get shots this one time. They've earned his patience.
Mike,
all
talked
those guys.
about
in the post-game press conference yesterday, Ethan Sands of Cleveland.com asked him, hey, you stuck with Strus? And he said, I trust Max.
Of course.
He didn't play well tonight, but I know the player he is. I know the work he's put in. I trusted him to kind of shoot himself out of it, and it didn't happen last night. But as a team, it was their second lowest field goal percentage of the season and their lowest three-point percentage of the season. The one thing I did want to mention.
And their first game under 100 points.
What do you chalk that up to? Just a
missed
bad
shots.
shooting
They
night?
missed a bunch
how
of
much
open
of that
shots.
was defense?
I thought what Indiana did in the second half when Halliburton went out. So Halliburton did not play the second half. They put in Ben Shepherd, and they started full-court pressing. And they didn't necessarily get a ton of turnovers off it like you would do in a high school game where you're pressing to turn guys over. They were essentially just making the Cavs slow down, get out of their rhythm.
Yeah.
And on a night where they just didn't make shots and they were a little behind the chain just because of the full-court press, I thought it just made their offense a lot more clunky than they have been in the past.
So maybe that's the answer. Press these guys.
Teams aren't going to press.
Teams are going to do it, but you don't
No,
press.
it takes too much energy. But
Yeah.
the playoffs, you can do that.
I mean, they just missed open shots. They had a lot of good looks last night.
Especially in the fourth quarter when Indiana built up that lead in the fourth quarter, it felt like every shot the Cavs had was a good shot. They just missed.
They had a lot of good looks.
Yeah.
They had
And
a lot
Indiana
of good looks.
also made a couple shots at the end of the shot clock.
They banked a three.
Yeah. That Nemhard
Well,
one
that
was the
kind of
perfect
just sealed.
example.
That was it.
Yeah,
I mean, that put them up like 12 or 13.
I was like,
whatever it was.
they're in Indiana. By the way, Indiana is a
Give
team.
them credit.
They went to the finals last year, Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
They had a pretty good team. They played a nice series in the Eastern Conference Finals. I will say this, though, McNuggets, sometimes, you got to reset a little bit. And to reset in the NBA might be like, hey, let me show you that we're not unbeatable, and to get back and kind of reset the mark.
To that point, G, the one thing I did take away from last night, and this is a bigger picture outlook, and we got some graphics here. In the third quarter, the Cavs have not been great this season. Over the last 4 games, they've allowed 30 points in the third quarter to Charlotte, 43 in the third quarter to OKC, 42 to Toronto, and then 37 last night
That's
to
a
Indiana.
lot.
And on the right hand, you can see the point differential in the quarters. They lost all 4 of those quarters. If you go to the next graphic, Steve, this is their defensive rating by quarter this season. They're a top 10 defense in the first, second, and fourth quarters. They're a bottom 10 defense in the third quarter. So I asked Kenny about that. I said, Kenny, can you put your finger on why there may be a little drop-off in terms of your defensive efficiency in the third quarter coming out of the halftime break? And here was his answer to that question. Finger on maybe why?
No, because we've talked about it with the group. Like, I don't know. We got to get better halftime speeches, I think, So, what we're up at halftime, 14? Was 13? And it's like this team, like, and God, please, we're our standards got to be higher. Like, I think we tend to relax when we get these leads, and this, how the NBA is now. It's like snap of the finger, all of a sudden, it's a tie score. So I just think there's a little bit complacency when we get a lead, but that's alarming. I think we've given up 37 points or more the last 3 games in the third quarter. So it's like, we'll look at it, we'll dive deeper into it, but it seems like that's a mental kind of not ready when you come out of the locker room and a relaxed thing.
Talking about coaching points, there you go. There's your
I
question.
like how, do we have another coach in town?
Hey, Kevin, That's how you call your team out without calling your team out.
A very good question was asked. A question that undeniably there is a trend. There's no question, and he knows that.
Yeah.
And he recognized that, and he couldn't have been more human and honest in his answer. I got to give better halftime speeches. I don't know what it is, but something's going on. Maybe we're complacent. That is so damn refreshing.
He could have just said, like, it's probably just a coincidence. It's, whatever. Yeah. Some nonsense like that if he wanted. And
love it. I love it. And you would not get that answer and you would not get that reaction. And now, so it's kind of hard. When you winning all these games, you beating teams, and you are giving up them 30s and 40s, but you're still winning, it kind of goes in one ear and out the other. Whatever.
Yeah. Sure, winning hides the warts.
But when you get them consequences, he can now go in and say, listen, I told you. This was going to come back, and look, 3 games, we won some close ones, but you're going to lose some close ones like that if you continue to let people put these points up. So that's why I love it, because I know just by what he's saying there, he's going to coach the hell out of it. He's going to coach that, and then this is going to be a good teaching point for this team. And by the way, when you want to be the big dogs, and when you watch some of those Warrior teams, and you watch the Bulls teams and some of the really, truly great all-time win record teams in the league, what happens is you see that killer instinct. I remember watching the Warriors back in the day. The Warriors would almost look like they would smell blood in the water. It would be like you would be in the game, you'd be plugging along, and all of a sudden they go 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 32, and then by that you done lost, and you're like, where did the game go? And so when you are 13 and a half, you want to start to develop that killer instinct to say, hey, the Pacers was on the road. It's the middle of January. If we go up and put another quick 6 buckets, get a stop here, these guys will quit, and they'll move on to the next thing. So hopefully we'll see what it is. They get another opportunity against on Thursday. I'll be anxious to see if they ratcheted up the intensity on the defensive end, not just the offense.
Both games this week on TNT, Tuesday against the Pacers, Thursday against the Thunder. Both on the road. You mentioned Minnesota.
I'm concerned about this little stretch.
They've got 2 Houston games coming up, and then the first 2 games in February are against Boston and Dallas.
Of their 16 remaining games before the All-Star break, 12 are against teams above 500.
Yeah, I like it.
It's a tough run.
I like that. I want them playing good teams.
We're going to find out.
Yeah.
We're going to find out.
Okay, one last thing from this game, then we'll move on. Sorry, I was talking to Steve real quick. But when you start the season 33-4, and then you have a stinker like you had last night. And it's a stinker. Like I said, I'm not looking anything into it, just a bad game. Does it make you appreciate the 33-4 start even more, knowing that games like last night happen all the time across the NBA? The Thunder, after losing to the Cavs, went and beat the brakes off the Knicks 2 nights later, and the Knicks had one of those games where they couldn't buy a shot. Does what happened last night kind of just make you appreciate the first 2.5 months of the season a little more, knowing it's the first time all year they've really had a game that you can look at and say they truly just played like crap?
I don't know if I appreciate it more.
No.
I'm not sure. I mean, I really appreciated the 32 and 33-4 start, whatever the hell it was. I appreciated the heck out of that. I know I liked it a lot more than last night. And I will admit, I don't know about you guys, but I will admit that they're like, it lets a little bit of daylight in to the argument that, we've all said they're shooting over their skis. They're not, they and I think we all agree that they can't continue shooting at this clip. I don't know. I mean, there's a little piece of me that is concerned because these next 3 in particular, but you mentioned all the way up to the All-Star break. What you don't want to do is go 6-6.
Yeah.
You don't want to exhibit mediocrity. You still want to exhibit dominance and superiority. Like 9-3.
Get on another run.
Even 8-4.
Yeah, get on another run.
When you lose 4 in the first 30 seconds, no, they're not going to.
Yeah.
But you also don't want them to lose 4 in 8 when they've lost 4 in 37.
So Jason, for me, it's like kind of what Jay said. It's like, okay, I've been kind of waiting for the shooting to tail off a little bit because traditionally, if you look at these guys as individual shooters, a lot of them are shooting, especially like guys like Okoro, LeVert, even Max Strus. Like Max Strus, on paper, looks like a good 3-point shooter, but he's streaky as well. My thing is, when shots aren't falling, what is their go-to? Like if shots ain't falling, threes ain't falling, what's our next bread and butter to say, okay, what we doing? How we gonna get this ball in the basket?
You got to get stops. You got to get stops on the defensive end.
So
but offensively, I mean, you can get Mitchell to the rack, you can get Garland to the rack, you can go inside with your bigs.
But the way the game is, if the threes aren't falling, they're going to keep shooting until they fall,
Yeah,
or they're going to lose the game. Like that's just today's game.
You have to.
So I like the fact that you're talking about it's the defensive energy, because that's where you can if you can
create turnovers, create easy looks for yourselves, get some easy baskets. That's, to me at least, I don't know if Mike disagrees, but if you can't get shots to fall, if your 3-pointers aren't falling, create some turnovers on the defensive end, get some runouts, get some easy looks, and try and catch a little bit of a rhythm. But ultimately, like we were watching, I started at the arena last night and then I left and I came home. And I was watching the game with my sons, and my oldest was like, "Why are they still shooting threes?" I'm like, "Have you seen an NBA game in the last 10 years? This is what you do.
Yeah.
You can miss 7 in a row. That next one is going up. Like they're just going to keep shooting them until they fall."
When the game is the way it is, when you're shooting poorly, it's ugly.
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah.
When you're shooting a million threes and you don't hit them,
And
it's ugly. And we're not used to it with the Cavs this year.
Yeah, I think two things can be true. I think there is going to be some regression to the mean a little bit with the shooting, but I also think this is a very good shooting team. Mm-hmm. And now I don't think that this is the reincarnation of Klay, Steph, and Kevin Durant. Like that's not what this is. But they do a really good job of creating open looks. And with the ball movement, with the offense that they're running, they do a really nice job of getting easy looks for one another. And more times than not, you like your chances on that. Now you're going to have nights like this where it doesn't matter how open you are, it is not going to go in. And G said it a bunch the last few days, and we've heard it for years. It's a make or miss league.
Yeah.
And you can have the best look in the world and it doesn't go in, and all you can do is shrug your shoulders and say, "I like the process that led to that. We didn't get the result we wanted, but I would do the same thing all over again." And if you miss those shots and you lose that game, you live with it, because like I said, the best teams in the league have nights like this at least 15 nights a year.
And it's hard.
Real quick before you go, Kenny said in his postgame last night that they track the shot efficiency rating. So how do they like the quality of their looks? They want to be in the 90 to 94 percentile. They were in the 85 to 90. So a little below where they like to be, but
interesting.
It was still in the higher echelon of where they've been. They just missed shots last night. G, what were you saying?
Well, and I think overall, even more than physical, it's just something to be said for a team that was not expecting to be thrust atop the standings.
Yeah.
And a lot of, like, for the last week or so, we just talked about how the NBA is just so excited about the fact that you look at the numbers from the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Cavs, and they're like, "Hey, look how great this game was. Look at the ratings. Look at, like, this is the kind of the two teams that are been pegged to save the NBA because of the way that they play basketball." And it's a little bit of it's an emotional drain that comes with that, man. You just, every game you're gonna get somebody's best punch. Every game you're like, dang. I even found myself watching it as Indiana Pacers hitting shots. I'm like, come on, it's the Pacers though. And in reality, these teams play in the league too. So you ain't gonna win every game. I think they'll bounce back.
With that, it's going to wrap up our Cavs portion of today's show. We're going to talk a little football after a quick word from Rocket Money, guys. Rocket Money is the most helpful app. If you don't have it, I highly recommend it. It's helped me find subscriptions I forgot I was paying for, and sometimes I had a subscription I was paying for twice, but with Rocket Money, it made it easy to track them all down. It was like having a personal assistant for my finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That is rocketmoney.com/lockedon, rocketmoney.com/lockedon. So over the weekend, guys, Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk wrote an article, and it was more of an opinion piece than an article. It was more of a column than hard reporting that basically said the Browns, if they really want to, can try and pursue getting money back from Deshaun Watson if they can prove he re-injured his Achilles doing something he wasn't supposed to do. He said it's going to be hard to prove, and it could potentially damage their relations with future players and future ability to get players to come to Cleveland if they do that. But I was curious from your guys' perspective, and in your opinion, and Bo, we'll start with you. Is this an avenue you believe the Browns should pursue to try and get back as much money as possible from this Deshaun Watson situation, if it is, in fact, true that he did re-injure his Achilles doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing?
The answer is yes, but let me clarify. You're saying get back money. I don't care about the getting back money part. That's for Jimmy. I don't care if he gets the money or not. It's about the cap space that they could potentially get. Now, the odds of them being able to get out of this and get out of the cap space are probably less than 1%.
You think it's that low?
I think so, because they would have to prove he was being wrecked. First of all, I don't know if it was this column or somewhere else where I saw the list of activities he can't do.
Yeah.
It's like skydiving, bungee
right, I'm
jumping,
sure he wasn't doing
motorcycling,
any of those things.
jet skiing.
But, like, let's say he was just not wearing his boot when medically he should have been. And I said last week, I don't know, like, again, I get it, he's an athlete and I'm not. But I had to, between a cast and boot, I was in it for 4 months. Now, that was a dozen years ago. Maybe it's changed.
For the
enough to be in it
record,
for that
he
long.
was cleared out of the boot a couple weeks ago.
He was?
Yes. He was not medically deemed necessary.
Okay, so there you go. So things have obviously changed, and maybe the fact that he's an athlete, you get out of the boot sooner. Who knows? But if they can prove that he did this before he was eligible to get out of the boot, or before he was medically cleared to get out of the boot, maybe they can get out of this. Who knows? It seems very unlikely. I don't know how the hell they'd prove this, but I would definitely pursue it and not worry about the relationship it might cause with some other players. I ultimately don't think players care that much.
I think if they went heavy, like private investigators trying to subpoena security footage, that might be a little. That might be.
I don't know. They might have to do that.
However,
go ahead.
If someone comes to them and says, "Look, I've got video of him dancing, and it's from this date," or "I've got video of him doing this," or I have video of the injury. It happened outside of my store.
Right.
And you could see what he was doing. The Browns are going to look at that, and if it's 100% egregious, I think they'd be crazy not to pursue that avenue. I do think, to Florio's point, I do think there is definitely something to that. Players talk. Players know where they want to go and where they don't want to go, and you never want to be that franchise that nobody wants to come play for. I think that they may already be that franchise again. I don't know. But to me, here's my bottom line on the whole thing. Cut the man a check. Tell him to go off and live his Instagram life. Have your best life. Do whatever you need to do. But you are, as of today, no longer a Cleveland Brown. It has been one negative distraction headline after another. Are they really going to let this play out for 5 full years? Because we've got 3 years behind us, and it's been a dumpster fire.
Right, but that doesn't
Let's end it.
Yeah, but that doesn't help them in terms of the cap.
No, it doesn't help
I
them.
would pursue that.
And to your point of the 1%, I don't know what the percentage is.
Yeah,
I think it's an extreme long shot that they get any relief.
Yeah.
And because of that, wash your hands of it. Get the karma off of you. Get that stank off of your franchise and move on. It's going to take years. This isn't a 1 or 2 year rebuild. I just don't think it is. So just cut bait now and be done with the Deshaun Watson experiment.
Well, will you explain real quick the cap situation with this?
I mean, there's still the hit is the hit.
What's that, Mike?
Well, will you explain the cap situation if they were to get some money back in this situation? Like how much cap space they would get?
I have no idea. I don't think it's ever happened
there's a
before.
weird formula for it. Jason was saying nobody really knows what it is.
It's a percentage. It's a form. It's everything in the NFL is behind secrecy and closed doors.
Oh, you mean the insurance part of this? Or if they got out of his contract?
Both.
No, the cap relief.
The cap relief.
The cap relief is take
off. Hold on, let me start.
Take off the table. They're going to void the contract. Take that off.
Yes.
Just the situation that they're in. They will get a percentage of cap relief,
but
based
very
on
small.
It's not. I don't know what the number is. It's not a. I don't think it's a huge number, but there is some cap relief, not dollar relief.
Yeah, right.
Cap relief. There's also insurance on the contract. There's 2 different things we're talking about. And all the money from the past that they push forward, you get no relief on that.
Right.
Every time they restructure the contract and move money ahead, every dollar of that still counts on future caps. It's the $46 million in 2025 and the $46 million in 2026, the actual dollars owed to them. There's a formula out there that will give them a percentage of relief of cap on those 2 numbers. So in the grand scheme of things, in the $172 million that they still have, it's a small percentage of that, but it's at least something.
So here, there's two main reasons why I don't think, and I'll take the emotions out of it because we talk business. When you look at it from an NFL standpoint, one of the things the NFL always wants to make clear is that we only do one thing here: we do not give out fully guaranteed contracts. It's a sport that is tough on your body. We cannot give out fully guaranteed deals, and the owners have all been in lockstep with it. What the Cleveland Browns did with Deshaun Watson was looked at as a faux pas. There is a reason why the other owners in the NFL and the networks were like, hold on. We don't want the Browns on TV. We don't want to talk about it. We don't even want this guy next to it because it incentivizes the behavior that they don't want to perpetuate, which is we're not giving out fully guaranteed deals. And when the Browns did that to get a player that they weren't going to get, because he wasn't going to come here if he wasn't got the guaranteed money, they broke the glass and pulled the move that the league frowned upon. So now, moving forward, the league is not going to bail them out of this or let them get some sort of cap relief to kind of wipe the books clean for them doing something that nobody else agreed with. Two, on the other opposite end of the spectrum, the Players Association is not going to, they're like, look, I'm not about to let you take the guaranteed money.
I know, but I think there's an arbitrator or somebody. This is not up to Roger Goodell.
If they try and void the contract, Garrett's right. The Players Association will file a grievance, and this thing will end up in court.
And so,
but ultimately, it's not their decision.
Well, here's another thing. As you go back and do a little research, when Aaron Hernandez went to jail, the Patriots filed some sort of lawsuit not I wouldn't say a lawsuit, but they filed paperwork to get some of the cap relief. The NFL and them have been going back and forth. This happened in 2013. They just now got a little bit of relief, and it was $2.5 million. Nothing major, no big, and they wanted more of it because they're like, hey, and the league stance was, well, listen, you drafted him. You guys make the due diligence on him. Yes, is it bad that he did?
And he had character issues when they drafted him. They knew about it.
They knew that.
And the same could be said of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with this injury.
But what I'm saying to you is the league stance is, it's not about the injury. It's about the league is like, look, we're not going to set a precedent where guys can go around and you offer these wild deals and then we let you off of it because now you have buyer's remorse.
I think that's a great point, G.
But if he's in violation of his contract, that's different.
Yeah, that is different. If he's in direct violation of his contract. But to G's point, and he's right. Even so much as the Ravens were publicly saying, this was, what are you guys doing? You're turning the structure of the league upside down. And now that it did blow up in their face, they're going to have 31 owners and a commissioner looking back at them like, tell me how your medicine tastes.
Yeah,
that's why we don't do things like this.
That's exactly.
I don't know. A lot of these other quarterback contracts have all been, 80-90% guaranteed. I don't think it makes a difference.
Not 100.
But this is it's still most of the money.
I think it's not the dollars, it's the precedent.
I agree.
But ultimately, I'm saying, listen, we all know there's almost no chance they're going to get out of this contract. But ultimately, the decision would not be, I don't think, by Roger Goodell or the Players Union. It would be some independent arbiter, I think.
Oh, do the NFL have independent arbiters?
Well, I think they do. In case ultimately, it's a contract dispute that could end up in court.
Yeah.
And that's when they would look at the language in the contract in terms of morals clauses and other things of insubordination. They'd have to prove it definitively.
But do you want like Jay, do you want to drag it on like that?
No, you don't.
Yes, $90 million is $90 million. If I'm the Browns, I'm exhausting every avenue I can.
So I gave what I would do. I just, and I know it's punitive, and I know it's a big check. Jimmy apparently has deep pockets. He doesn't care.
Apparently.
What do you guys propose that they do moving forward? Because that's really where the rubber meets the road here.
Well,
what are they going to do to get out of this mess?
So this year they're going to have him on the PUP list or IR, whatever, for the entire season.
It benefits them. What happened benefits.
That part of it, I agree.
Yes. And then next year they'll probably, if he is healthy, have to technically keep him on the 53-man roster and not play him. And then they'll cut him after that year.
Why do they have to keep him on the roster? Why couldn't they just pay him and release him? It happens.
Because the cap hit for next year would probably still be too big. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe by next year it wouldn't be that bad if they cut him.
You want the dead cap hit for
next
year?
What's the dead cap hit if they cut him after the 25 season, Mike?
If he's a pre-June 1st.
No, he won't be pre-June 1st.
No, it wouldn't.
Post-June 1st.
Yeah.
Let me just turn this on. According to Over the Cap, He is a post-June 1st cap hit. I hope I'm reading this right because this is all confusing.
After 25?
Yeah, so for the 26 season.
Yeah.
His last.
Post-June 1st
Yeah.
is still $73 million.
Yeah, he'd be on the
by
roster.
that, honestly,
He gonna
by
be on
that
the
point,
roster.
they may still cut him because
No.
The cap goes up. It's not as much
the
of a
cap,
percentage.
the cap, it could be equivalent to what the Broncos have done with
It's
Russell Wilson.
25% of the projected cap
But-
in 26.
Yeah, they could live with that, maybe.
But if he look, this
25% of the projected.
Wait.
cap.
Actually, let me ask you guys a question.
Yeah.
And Jason, I'm looking at over the cap right now. As a post-first cut, would that be in the 26 column or the 27 column if they cut him after the season?
No, that would be 26.
You're looking for the 26th season. It would be after June 1st, but prior to the 26th season.
Yes.
Okay, so then it is 72.9 million.
I mean,
But also
he's not there.
But also they need to restructure this again. They haven't restructured it, I don't believe.
didn't they have?
Yeah, they just did that a couple weeks ago, I thought.
Did it happen while I was gone? I didn't think
yeah,
they did.
they-
Oh,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
right.
They
You're
did,
right.
yeah.
You're right.
They
You're
did.
right. You're right.
Either way,
That's when I was
mean,
gone.
they may 73 at this point in 2 years might not be that much of a percentage more than the Russell Wilson dead cap hit was this past
But
year.
I don't.
Well, Denver hit on their quarterback. So I guess it all comes back to the draft and who the Browns get. Because if they find a quarterback in the draft, he's on a cheap contract.
Right.
So at least you're not paying a free agent.
Yeah,
listen. It's a favor. He's gone the rest of the year.
The fact that he's hurt for this year is a great benefit
that
to the
did
Browns.
help him
Yeah.
immensely.
You're not going. So if I'm going to sit here and say, well, you're going to be training off on your own, you're not even going to be around. I'm not taking $73 million hit for that. You stay on the roster, and we'll figure it out.
I don't know about that because before this happened, and I was trying to figure out a way, how are you going to carry this guy on the 53?
Right.
And I said, just send him home. We might have I don't know how you can, because I'm telling you, like I've talked to players who said it felt like a cloud was lifted when he was gone. Like they felt it internally. And I don't know how you can move on for a year and then
bring him
back,
back.
Yeah, so
after a year.
Maybe he'll
So
want to be injured too. Who
Maybe
knows?
maybe
You
at
know.
that point you send him home.
Yeah.
But like that carrying a spot on the 53 is valuable.
Punitive.
Like, that's
I
really
know,
that is
valuable.
very
We can't-
punitive.
I mean,
You know,
whether or not he's on a
So
spot
you're going to carry
in 20
four quarterbacks? It
But
impacts
Jason-
it impacts how many quarterbacks you can carry.
But it's a year from now. I mean, I don't think we need to worry about it. I think they will either cut him and take the huge cap hit in 26, or find a way to have him injured
As
again
we
for another
sit
year.
here today, I tend to think that they will cut him probably
Yeah.
prior to 26.
and take that massive cap hit. And
But
don't deal
again,
with it.
these are all reasons why you absolutely pursue getting out of the last 2 years of this contract. You
right.
exhaust. Listen, in terms of your reputation with other players around the league, 3-14 damages your reputation.
Yeah,
If
you've
you
done
pay
enough
players
damage
enough,
on your
they'll
own.
come to you. It doesn't
25
matter.
years of incompetence damages your
Yeah, that's
reputation.
very true.
More than because I don't think that guys look at this. Frankly, I don't know. I'm sure Deshaun has people in his corner still in the NFL and guys who really like him, guys who play with him in Houston that love him, whatever else. I've also been led to believe there's a lot of players who don't really care for him all that much.
Right.
So I don't think that players are going to look at this and say, "Oh man, can you believe the way the Browns treated Deshaun?" I don't think that's going to
It's
have
not like
an
they're
impact.
going after a white horse here.
But here's the thing. Like, listen, y'all 3 and something. At some point in time, all that cloud and shadowy talk, y'all need to get y'all's ass on the field and play. Like, all that cloud talk, get on the field and play and worry about your jobs. At the end of the day, we need to refocus and move on. If we can't keep talking about it if we want to move on. So the best thing you can do is say, okay, are you going to pay the man to go away? You going to chill out? What are you going to do? He's not going to be here. The most important thing for the Cleveland Browns next year in 2025 has nothing to do with Deshaun Watson. The most important thing is, hey, who's quarterbacking the team tomorrow?
Yep.
Who's quarterbacking this unit? What do we need to do? This is a red herring. This is a nice little shiny object in the corner that has no bearing. Deshaun Watson will never play another game for the Cleveland Browns. We all know that. Mm-hmm. Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski know that. Let the suits worry about how they pay him. We need to worry about how we're going to get back.
Yeah, and that's why, Gee, I agree with all of that.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
why I say you eliminate the distraction and the questions about Deshaun and is he coming back in 25 or 26. You eliminate all that when you just come out and make a definitive statement, call a news conference. The Cleveland Browns have decided that as of today, we are cutting all ties with Deshaun
But they don't have
Watson.
to do that now because at least right now, they don't have to do that.
Well,
that would
but
be.
we won't be
there
talking
was a
about it.
time where I thought that was the proper move, but now that you can
Now
put
you
him on
got-
IR and he doesn't count as a spot, like You don't have to do that now.
And
Maybe a year from now, but right now you don't have to do that.
And if the second they get a young quarterback or a quarterback, I think what you'll start to see is
People move on.
You won't even hear
That's
his name.
right. And I think the Browns at some point before the season should just say definitively that Deshaun Watson's hurt. He's out for the year. This way, there's no more questions about him this season.
Yeah, I would have already made that statement.
Well, I mean, didn't they?
They didn't. They didn't say that.
No, you got Schefter out here saying he can be back in 7 months.
You know what? I poked around a little bit. I know you did too with your doctor. I was trying to figure out where did Adam get this.
I know exactly where he got
There are
this.
doctors that will tell you that if you do X, Y, and Z, but the medical profession, the field itself, is laughing at that. Saying there is no way he's stepping on a football field this year.
Guys in that position have to do favors for
agents,
people in player circles.
No, I know,
and that's all that was.
Well, you know that Dr. David Morse, he was on our show, Mike.
When Nick Chubb got hurt the first time.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a guy who does a lot of videos about football injuries. He said that he thinks it's a career ender.
He does.
I mean, we got a lot of surgeries on the panel. Man, it's incredibly hard to tear your Achilles heel twice. It's very rare statistically. Think about it. He has 2 Achilles heel tears, 2 ACLs, and a shoulder injury that nobody else in the league had as a quarterback.
And he never looked the same after the shoulder injury.
No,
let's not forget that.
I got to say thank you to Deshaun for not taking your rehab seriously, and now you've allowed the Browns to put you on IR.
Wait, hold on. One thing on that real
quick.
quick. We showed this TikTok video on Friday. Steve, you want to take it? It has been confirmed this was actually filmed in March, way before anything.
Oh, it has nothing to do with this. Who cares?
No, I'm just saying. We showed it and we said this could have been it. I just wanted to clarify. This video was taken in March before the 2024 season even started. So
but how hateable does it make the two of them to watch the video?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I think you're just an old man. On this
You're just hating.
That makes them very hateable.
No, it doesn't. If I see anybody,
it does for me.
Why?
I don't know. Something about the dancing makes it very hateable.
That is.
I saw another dance.
That's the pettiest thing I've ever heard you say.
Petty LeBeau.
Golly, that's incredibly petty. Like that's like being like. I mean, it's like Jason Lloyd. I mean.
Wait, we gotta see Bull dancing.
He is hating.
I didn't say a word.
No, hold on. But at least Jason Lloyd does it in a real, like, nondescript way. Jason wakes up and hates because the sun is out. He's like, this. I cannot believe this. He mad. Eyes be this small. Salty. Now you just mad because they dancing. They TikTok.
Well, all right. I heard Deshaun's got a whole series of TikTok coming out from North Korea next week, so that'll be interesting.
Is that possible?
I mean, Dennis
By
Rodman.
the way, speaking of no boot, you're going to start rumors over here.
Hey,
not taking his rehab seriously.
Listen, I got
UCSS looking to void a contract.
You break that again, they're voiding your contract.
You're not listening to your doctor.
Here's what's going to happen when they cut on this joint. I just promised them that I wouldn't fall in the building.
Yeah, there's no more liability.
I don't know that you can guarantee that.
What
that you won't fall in the building.
Yeah, that is right. I might pass out. But
Bull, how much would it take for you to start a TikTok video and a TikTok account and every day post a dancing video?
I mean, it wouldn't take that much. It'd probably be funny. Although, isn't TikTok getting banned? What is happening with
They've
that?
been saying that for years.
Yeah. No. Well, actually, the final decision happens Sunday.
Oh.
And the Supreme
Sunday?
Court, in the arguments that in the attorneys file briefs. And the Supreme Court justices are allowed to ask questions.
Yeah.
And there are court experts that listen to the questions they ask and then try to see which way the wind is blowing in the court.
Yeah.
And it appears that all of the experts are in agreement that they are ready to indeed force ByteDance to sell, or it is going dark in the United States of America as of
I maybe need to get
19th.
TikTok right now because
maybe you should get on the bandwagon before it crashes. I would love. I don't have TikTok, but I would get it and subscribe to only you if you would post a dance video every day.
I mean, at first I'd have to do the Deshaun Watson and girlfriend dance. There was that dance before the season that made me so angry I wanted to punch a wall with these with the members of the Chicago Bulls. With this awful
God, that was
going
awful.
in a circle.
That was awful.
I don't know why these things irritate. It's definitely. I told you I'm not a nicer, kinder.
Well,
those things just not offend me, but I find them so irritating.
We're old men.
It's old white man syndrome.
Yeah, it is.
At least you admit it.
Take your ball and go home.
First step is admitting you have a problem.
I refuse to say old white man.
Wait, I'm not. He's not admitting there's a problem. He's just admitting that
I'm
he
not
hates
saying it's a
it.
problem at
And then it
all.
might be
And
an
I'm
old
not
man
taking the
thing.
white part of it. I'm just
Well,
saying
you
I'm
don't
an
even
old
think
man.
you're white, so I'm not surprised by that.
I don't really think of myself as white, so I don't care.
Well, okay.
It's all right.
Speaking of subscribing, if Bull makes a TikTok, subscribe to that. And we want to say thank you one more time to the 50,000 of you guys who have now subscribed to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on YouTube. We really, really appreciate it. And everyone does a lot
Think about
to,
that. That would overflow Progressive Field by 15,000 people. It would almost fill Huntington Bank Field.
How many seats at Huntington Bank Field?
68,000, I believe.
All right, that's our next goal.
By
folks.
December, they don't use 25,000 of them.
Yeah, you're right. So
least.
if this was a November game, we
We'd
would
be right
pack the
there.
joint.
Yeah.
We would pack it.
So we appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very, very much. All right, guys, we watched some wild card action in the playoffs this weekend, and I wanted to take what we saw in the 5 games. We have another game tonight. And relate it back to the Browns. We had asked this question before. Do you think the Browns are just a quarterback away? And I'm curious if what you saw over the weekend in these 5 wildcard round matchups either reinforced your thoughts that they are not just a quarterback away, or if what you saw changed your opinion on how close you think the Browns are from being competitive in the AFC again.
It's really a bad question, though, Mike, because are they or I shouldn't say it's a bad question, but it needs to be clarified. A quarterback away from what? From being a playoff team?
A contender.
Or being a true Super Bowl contender?
Well, I was hoping you guys would take differing opinions on this because I was going to chime in and say, let's now clarify.
I got you. Okay,
more, so.
my bad. I jumped the gun on you there.
No, you're all good. So, Bull, what do you think?
Are the Browns a quarterback away?
Let's start with just contending. Not
Does anybody have a definitive answer?
100%. From contending, from being a playoff contender, 100% they're a quarterback away. Yes, without a doubt.
Only a quarterback away.
Well, I mean, if they had, it depends how good the quarterback is.
That's the answer.
Right? If you're
That's
telling,
the answer.
If you're telling me they're getting the next
Jaden Daniels,
top elite quarterback, then yes, okay, right.
It was funny, when I was reading your email last night on the show, I'm watching the Commanders.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, the answer's right here. It's on my TV right now.
Yep.
The Commanders were awful. Terrible football team.
Number of years.
For a number of years. And they get Jaden Daniels. And I'm telling you guys, I don't think this is hyperbole. He's the next coming of Lamar Jackson. His RPO game and his ability to read is unbelievable. He can scramble. He buys time. He makes throws. He converted on 3rd and 4th down all night last night. And as a result, the Commanders are now moving into – who do they play? Are they at the
Lions?
They're going to beat the Lions.
The Lions, yes.
That's good.
And he had a lot of detractors. There was nobody.
I loved him. I drafted him in my fantasy league and rode him to a championship.
That's great. You had crystal ball there because there's a lot of people that was not very high on Jaden.
I loved him.
Wait, that's not true.
Yeah. Loved him at LSU. I thought he should have been the number 1 pick.
A lot of people were poo-pooing Bo Nix. But
Bo Nix, yes.
Nobody was jumping up and down for Jaden Daniels. Like, oh my gosh, he's going to kill the league next year.
The thing is, I'm not putting it's totally unfair to put Jaden Daniels in conversation with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has been great from almost the moment he came in the league. Jaden Daniels has done it for 1 year. We saw C.J. Stroud.
That's all he's played.
Well, I know that, but C.J. Stroud was like a historic rookie last year, and he went backwards
I know,
this
but
year.
Bull, what I'm saying is his skill set,
his
ability to scramble like Lamar, because C.J. Stroud isn't scrambling like Lamar.
I don't think he scrambles like Lamar.
I think he very much scrambles like Lamar. I love the way he sprints out of the pocket.
Yeah.
And then makes the decision, once he leaves the pocket, I'm either going to throw it or run it. But either way, he is a massive
How many
threat.
yards did he have this year rushing? It wasn't a crazy amount.
He broke RG3's record.
Do you have his rushing yards?
I'm pulling. I didn't have a Commander's stats, but I'll tell you right now.
I think he broke RG3's record.
In the regular season this year, Jaden Daniels rushed for 891 yards.
Wow, that's more than I thought.
I'm telling you, Bull, he is. And I know it's not fair.
I love him.
It's not fair to say it yet because it is 1 year.
Yeah.
And we've RG3 had obviously the bad injury.
Yeah.
We've seen guys come into the league and do it for a year, and CJ's a great example of that. But I'm just looking at his game. The way I think Lamar is a cheat code. When you pair him with Derrick Henry, they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Well, Lamar,
I believe that the Baltimore Ravens are winning the Super Bowl this year.
I hate that the Ravens are playing the Bills this week because I think
I do too.
Teams.
I think that's Bull. The winner wins the Super Bowl. I think the winner of that game wins the Super Bowl. But what I'm saying is, his RPO IQ and his ability, once he makes a decision to then make a play, is Lamar-esque.
I'll give
now,
you
he's
that.
got to keep that trajectory.
I just think Lamar, it's so impressive to me what Lamar has done because his game gets better every year.
Absolutely.
It's unbelievable.
Well, for the Cleveland Browns, they have neither. So
yeah, no, that's true.
No,
the question is,
got to find that guy, and I don't think he's out there.
If you told me they got a Jaden Daniels this year, I would say yes, they have a good chance to get to the playoffs. Now, to be fair about it, the AFC is way better at the top than the NFC is.
Much.
And so it's easier to get in the playoffs in the NFC than it is in the AFC.
That's a good point.
So that makes it more challenging. But yes, if the Browns, in
Bo
theory,
Nix did it in the AFC. Took a bad team.
That's true.
Splashed in his rookie play
and got out as soon as he went in.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We didn't ask, are you going to take multiple
But that's
steps?
sort of the point that
I want them to be a playoff contender.
Yeah.
And what we saw this year in each conference was a quarterback drafted not number one take bad teams and elevate them into the playoffs.
That's right. But the bottom line is the 4 best quarterbacks in the league. There's a line after the 4 best quarterbacks.
100%.
And what do they have in common? They're all in the AFC.
Yes.
Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, Allen. They are head and shoulders above everybody else. Now, maybe another year or two, Jaden Daniels joins them. Maybe Stroud does. Who knows? I love both of those guys. And I don't think Stroud had quite as bad a year as some people have said it. They had a ton of injuries. He was still pretty good this year, just not as good as last year. And kudos to them. They kicked the crap out of the Chargers.
They did to the Chargers what they did to the Browns last year.
That's right. But so that makes it so much harder in the AFC.
Hell no. Y'all break dancing. I usually break dance. Are the Browns really just a quarterback away? Hell no. They need multiple things.
Well, the Commanders were horrible.
Man, they got Terry McLaurin too.
Yeah, but he was sitting there with nobody to throw the ball.
You don't think
the
Jerry
Browns
Judy's
have Jerry Jeudy?
Hey, listen.
Jerry Jeudy in the ballpark of McLaurin?
By the way, that's the NFC. Let's go back to
I said that.
Let's go back to the. We play in the AFC. So the team that we just didn't even throw Herbert out there, and he got smoked by Stroud.
Yeah.
So we don't got a Herbert, we don't got a Stroud, we don't got a Bo Nix, we don't got we don't got none of the top 4 you're talking about.
Not yet.
But what I'm saying to you is, are they a quarterback away? No, you need a quarterback. You need a receiver. You need another lineman. You need another dude on that. Because here's the thing: the goal for me ain't to be. Yeah, we just snuck in the playoffs. My goal is to win the championship.
I agree.
And are we close enough? No.
But G, take the Browns as the discussion point. When you put Jameis Winston into that starting lineup this year, and he played at peak Jameis Winston, they beat the Ravens. Mm-hmm. They beat the Steelers. And what happened was suddenly the defense looked energized. Mm-hmm. The wide receivers looked better.
Yeah.
The tight end, everybody. It raises all boats. A high tide does.
But to get to him to be that consistent level, if you want to come with a mid-tier quarterback like that, you got to be stacked. And we never.
But we're not talking.
I'm not talking mid-tier. I'm talking the next Jaden Daniels.
They won 11 games with pretty
awful quarterback play.
Yeah, I mean a little above average with Flacco,
and then got destroyed by one of these quarterbacks.
Which is why we're having two different conversations.
No, the conversation is: are they one quarterback away
from being a contender?
Yes, they're one quarterback away from being a contender.
When you say contender,
if they get a top 10 quarterback,
G's talking championship contender. You guys are talking playoff
AFC
contender.
Championship game.
Oh well, that's what I want.
No, because Bull clarified that at the beginning. He said,
that's what he wants.
Well,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but baby steps. Let's just be in the
playoff
conversation.
Contender or championship contender?
I
He's
want
talking
championship.
championship.
You can't do it all
You
in
guys
one
are
year.
talking playoff.
Yeah, well, nobody here would say they're a playoff away from being a Super Bowl contender because they'd be out of their minds if they said that.
I just started this season, and we were Super Bowl contenders. They won 3 games.
No, they weren't. They were not legit Super Bowl
No. That was the expectation.
No, well, it shouldn't have been.
That was the expectation.
It wasn't for me, so I'm not taking.
Everybody you talked to said everybody you talked to said the Cleveland Browns were legit Super Bowl contenders.
Only in Cleveland. Only in Cleveland.
If Deshaun Watson came back and played even remotely good.
Well, we now know that it's too big to even have a conversation about.
So my thing is, you missed your window. You missed the window. It's not just the quarterback. You got something to do at line. You got something to do with. You got worse. You got rid of Amari Cooper. Your line is getting old. And by the way, the coaching staff needs to be upgraded.
So, if that's your stance, then you're trading Myles Garrett before drafting.
Oh, I ain't trading. No, I ain't not trading him.
Why?
Why would I do that?
Because we're more than one player away. So let's rebuild this. No. Let's use the assets that we have to get more assets.
No. I need you to hit like the other guys is hitting. I don't need. See, the thing with the Cleveland Browns is y'all want them to stockpile picks because you think that they're gonna miss on 3 of those picks.
Well,
you think they're gonna. Well, why is those guys in charge then? See, that's the thing. I need you to hit like the Ravens is hitting. The Ravens don't hit and miss. Even on the free agents. Who would have took Derrick Henry? Derrick Henry is washed. Why would you want Derrick Henry? They put Derrick Henry with Lamar Jackson. They cooking. Like the Steelers. They would have got Russell Wilson, right? Nobody wanted Russell Wilson. They still went to the playoffs. The Browns have to learn to hit what they got.
I mean, the Steelers were collapsing at the end of the season.
But they went to the playoffs. I would have rather be in the playoffs.
Well, you just said you didn't right, care. Now you're talking a championship.
But listen, what I'm saying to you is what the Browns are doing has not been good enough. And they are not one quarterback away.
No one argues with that.
But I'm saying they're not just one quarterback away.
Not from championship contention.
No. But they're one. The quarterback makes many of the other flaws go away. And the Browns defense is somewhere in between what we saw 2 years ago and this year. So if you all of a sudden, that's my opinion.
Really? No. Martin Emerson regressed. JOK don't even know he's playing no more.
Okay.
How do you feel? How is this the same defense?
I didn't say it was going to be as good as 2 years ago.
Can we draft Jack Sawyer?
I said it would be somewhere between 2 years ago and last year. That's my opinion on it.
Okay.
I could be wrong, certainly. If you got a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, which may not be possible, but Jay said a quarterback like Jaden Daniels. If the Browns added a Jaden Daniels level quarterback next year, would they have a great chance to make the playoffs? Absolutely.
I think they'd be in
I don't know that they would definitely.
Of course they would. They won 11 games with trotting 5 dudes out there 2 years ago.
And look at what they looked like when the quarterback play this year was on point. They beat Pittsburgh and they beat Baltimore.
But you're assuming that these other teams are not getting good. I just saw the Cincinnati Bengals, one of the most stacked offenses in the world, not make the playoffs.
And they fired their defensive coordinator.
Like that. This is the way I go with it. Project Stockpile is this. You started off in last place. For me, what the Browns need to do, and it's the mentality with the Browns, we keep trying to boil it down to if we do one thing. No, you're in last place. Last place teams don't get to do one thing. You got to do multiple. I need a quarterback. I need the receivers. I need to upgrade the defense. Like, I'm not going to fool myself into thinking we get Jaden Daniels, we're going to be good. That's
do you think it's going to happen in the next 4 years?
You think if they had Jaden Daniels, they wouldn't be good? I'm not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl, but they'd be good.
No, I don't.
Oh my God.
Okay, I disagree.
I think they'd be. I think they would have made the playoffs.
Is there anything more important?
Hold on. No. I don't think they run the ball very effectively. I don't think they can protect the quarterback effectively. I don't believe on defense they have enough playmakers.
Well, Jaden Daniels was Washington's leading rusher.
And Jaden Daniels does not do anything for your penalties. What does Jaden Daniels do for your like? We had guys that we scored touchdowns, and those are called back. We got our special teams. We can't hit.
You're basing everything on this past season.
Listen, I'm going on right now.
They're not
but good enough.
Every season is different.
I'm not. Listen, when you got you know how crazy this sounds. You got a 3-13 football team that's picking 3-14 that's picking in the top 2. Y'all got the number 2 pick, and you're telling me that we lost all those games because we just didn't have a quarterback.
That was the number one reason.
No,
it's not the only reason. There's never only one reason. But bad quarterback play was the number one reason they were 3-14. No,
bad special teams, poor discipline,
that
running game, offense.
Nobody's saying these things didn't factor in.
But no, when you boil it down, it is crazy to say, all right, we'll take Jaden Daniels and put him on this team, but we can't run the football, and we're going to go to the playoffs. Stop.
What was Washington's record last year? 3-14?
Come on.
No, they weren't that bad, were they?
Well, they had
the number 2 pick. So in the 2023 season, which is what led them to having the number 2 pick, they went 4-13.
Okay,
exactly.
One game better than the Browns.
So and when you look at their defense, I think was dead last. If it wasn't last, it was towards the bottom of the heap.
They gave up 518 points.
Okay, now
which was
let me
by
ask you
far
this.
the most.
How the hell did Jaden Daniels help the Washington defense go from last to where they are now?
How did he help? He did. Because he played well.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
like
they
right,
did make changes to the defense.
of course they did. But what I'm saying is,
the quarterback play impacts.
go look at the way the defense played against Baltimore when Jameis Winston was throwing it for 495. Like those things, it sparks the defense. Now go watch the defense go out there in Week 15 when they've got 0 to play for. They're mailing it in. And you're not mailing it in if you're in a playoff race.
You're in the first of all, you can't discount. They play in the NFC.
I know that.
I get
agree.
that.
All I'm saying,
they beat the Eagles this year.
All I'm saying is that the quarterback is the biggest problem. Obviously, it's not the only problem.
I'll give you that.
But it's the biggest problem on the team.
Listen. I'm the one who's saying, listen. Y'all better find a quarterback and stop talking about all the ancillary pieces.
Yes.
Like you get 10 left tackles and a defensive end and a corner and a receiver, and you still might not be good because you don't got the quarterback.
But it all starts with the quarterback.
Right. And here's the bottom line for me. If you said, okay, Jaden Daniels on this team for the 2024 season, do the Browns definitely go to the playoffs? No. But they're not 3-14.
No,
I'll tell you that.
They're not 3-14.
They're at worst. They're around 500 and close to the playoffs.
You're around 8-9 wins. You're around that area.
Minimum.
Right. 8-9 wins. I give it to you.
Now the big question that is for another day is that quarterback in this draft.
That's the question.
Yeah.
And
that's the question.
None of this matters if he's not.
And are people just saying no because we're all into groupthink now?
That's the question as well. Because here's the thing: when we look at these quarterbacks, and people keep saying the guy isn't there, the guy isn't there, the guy isn't there. Man, I'm looking at teams. I identify guys and traits. Because listen, guys, everybody ain't gonna be no polished, finished project. You got your scouting department and your coaching staff there to work in a system that helps build these guys' confidence and develop these quarterbacks. Listen, Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos, they did the unthinkable. They said, we're going to take the cap hit. Think about this. They said, we'll take the cap hit. We'll trade you Jerry Jeudy. And we'll draft Bo Nix. And they drafted him, put him in Sean Payton's system, and guess what? They're in the playoffs. Now, guys, nobody was saying that Bo Nix had the first round talent. Nobody was saying he was
sixth quarterback off the board.
People said it was a reach. All I'm saying is, if you know it's that important, you got to put some time, energy, and effort into figuring out. Is there somebody in this draft that I can work with that I can put my stamp on to get better quarterback play?
I'm coming around on Sanders, by the way, and because I've heard a few people have now told me that they think he's a great fit in Stefanski's system. And the idea that some people are going to write him off just because he's Deion Sanders' son, and there could potentially, maybe, I'm not saying there will be, but there could potentially be some drama surrounding that. I think that's a stupid reason to write him off.
Every draft has at least one.
Yep.
Even 2022, because I want to double check.
Is that
I just
the Kenny
looked it up.
Pickett year?
That's the Kenny Pickett year.
Who was good that year?
Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every quarterback.
No. Pickett wasn't Purdy's year.
Yeah.
No, Purdy was the same year as Trey Lance.
20.
No.
I thought they took. That was the same draft class. I thought.
2022.
I think Purdy was 22.
22 was. I just looked it up.
Mike McCarthy gone from Dallas.
Yeah.
Wow.
But every draft, even the worst quarterback.
Jason, you're right. I'm wrong.
Even the worst quarterback drafts, there's at least one.
Now, he was taken dead last.
Yeah.
You do have a guy named Will Howard that's being talked about as a 5th, 6th round pick in this
Lord.
draft. Is he the guy?
No.
Shaking your head
Will,
definitively no? Definitively no?
Hey, that Will Howard beating that drum on Will Howard is about.
We're going to talk Ohio State in a sec, but to your Bo Nix point a second ago, G, Sean Payton identified him as a guy he thought he could run his system to a T.
Yep.
And they traded up. But I went back to check. I just looked at CBS, ESPN, and PFF. They all had Bo Nix in terms of their big board between 27 and 36. So in that late first, early second range.
Yeah.
The Broncos took him at 12. They felt so strongly that this was the guy that fit what Sean Payton wanted to do, and they believed Sean Payton could elevate and get the most out of him, that even if it was a reach in terms of where he was ranked versus where the selection was made, to them, it was worth it.
By the way,
and
again,
real quick.
Mike, I just got to say, it's insane. Not only you do this, we all do this. We call somebody a reach, and we base that reach on people that are not working in football, where they put them on their draft board.
I know, but it's all we have. Those are the draft experts, you know.
What I'm saying is if Stefanski likes any of these guys,
yeah,
and he says, that's my guy.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can pass
Mike,
that up.
the beauty of what you just said is this, and I don't understand why it doesn't happen this way more often. The most important relationship a head coach has is with his quarterback.
Yeah.
Everybody would agree with that.
Yes.
Why head coaches are constantly handcuffed with the guy that other people think will be perfect for him has always mystified me. And in this case, and Andy Reid also has a track record of doing this as well, when you feel so strongly about a certain guy that you go to management and say, this is the player that I would build if I was in a lab and could build the quarterback that I want. If you're Denver's management, you're crazy not to say, then go get him.
Right.
And what should be going on behind the doors in Berea right now is Kevin Stefanski should be looking at tape of every
Everybody.
single quarterback in this draft.
Yeah, everyone.
Lock him in a room, have him come out in the end of February and say, okay, Kev, who you got?
Is this the card?
Who do you have?
That's it.
And then you can position yourself because you've got the two. Unless it's the guy that's going to go number one, you've got your pick of whoever you want.
Well, he's going to have to have a list of two in case the guy he wants goes first.
He will, but I mean, at some point,
And then
it behooves the Browns to go to Kevin and say, we've tried it our way. We've tried forcing square peg and round hole. We tried pulling your coordinator and forcing this coordinator. We tried having him call plays. Now, there's one control in the experiment. It's all yours, Kevin. Sink or swim.
And you're going to be able to build your book, your plays, your concepts
around a guy
a guy you took. Not Baker because he was here. Not Deshaun because you went and got a king's ransom and gave it to him. Somebody that you looked in the eye and said, I choose you.
And then if they fail, gone.
There it is.
You're right.
Gone.
Because now we let you do it your way.
It's you.
So now, Kevin, here's the big question.
If he gets it right, then he's here for a decade.
Are the Browns smart enough to do it that way?
Well, they've tried everything else.
So what do they have to lose?
I believe Kevin Stefanski is finally standing up for himself.
I feel like there's some evidence to that.
I think he's going to have big. And
I don't even think he has to. I don't even think he has to.
Yeah.
Just read the room.
Yeah, right.
And he and Andrew Berry, they're on the same page.
They are in
I
lockstep.
think they are.
Yeah.
I think they'll work together and hopefully find the right guy. I mean, that's.
I mean, and here's the thing. If he, and I'll be clear on it. If he come through and he knocked this out of the park, man, you're not gonna hear nothing from me about no Kevin Stefanski, bro. Like, cause look, he came through a 3-14 season, and then he's like, yo, I'm gonna run my offense, I'm gonna find my quarterback, I'm gonna do it this way. You gotta respect it, because now if it hit, you gonna give him all the credit. Because he's like, yo, I did it everybody else's way. But when I put my life on the line, I put my career on the line, and I said, I'm gonna draft this guy. That's all people would want. And if you stamp that guy, you'll forget about it. I think sometimes I question and say, why was Baker so popular, right? Because it was one of the first times that I think somebody like Dorsey just went to the podium, handed the ticket in, and said, give me that guy. And it was like, oh, okay. Like,
well, that and the end of the playoff drought.
And then
when you end the playoff drought, you're gonna be king for a day.
And right, so then it turned out to be right, and so everybody was on board.
Right,
you couldn't find nobody that didn't like it.
And the plan might include this. Okay, I've got a 2-tiered plan. The guy that I love isn't really. I don't think he's NFL ready. Few are. Mm-hmm. So my bridge is going to be Kirk Cousins for a year, and I'm gonna mold this young quarterback the way I want him to play, and then in 2026, the team is his.
He may not get that opportunity if you're Stefanski. I don't know.
Maybe not, but at least if he goes to management and says, if you get me Kirk Cousins for a year and you draft this guy for me for the future, I've got a winner for you.
He has to look at Kirk Cousins and he has to be honest with him and say, how much you got left?
I think Kirk Cousins is done.
And Kirk has to be like, or I got something left.
Kirk Cousins trying to. Well, I guess he's got money coming to him.
He got the money. They just got to find if they find the right quarterback. And it sounds bad because it sounds like I'm selling propaganda, but people will gravitate because of the differences between what the quarterbacks were before. And not say Jameis Winston isn't a good, solid character guy. If they get another dude, Kirk Cousins is well prepped, well groomed. He talks to the media.
He might be the most liked guy in the league.
He's a very likable individual. And if you're Kevin Stefanski and you got a quarterback and you say, all right, he's not ready to play, can I get through and make 8 games? Because I think if they go 500 next year, and with a bridge quarterback, but the quarterback's on the roster, I think that's a success.
Yeah, I wouldn't do Kirk Cousins.
Or a bridge veteran.
I don't know. People are not going to like this name, but I would rather do Andy Dalton because Andy Dalton the last bunch of years has worked with a ton of young quarterbacks.
I'll do too. I like him exponentially better.
40?
No, I don't think he's that old.
I think he's older than Kirk.
I just think, I think ultimately when you draft a guy too, he's going to play sooner rather than later.
37.
Whether you like it or not. But we do have to talk about Baker and the Buccaneers.
We do.
For at least a few minutes. And by the way, I'm not here to dance on Baker's grave. He had a tremendous season. I think it's weak to be taking too many shots at him. Yeah, they lost. Yes, that fumble, I think, cost him the game.
It's big, huge.
There's no doubt about it. I don't know that was totally his fault. Obviously, the timing was off there.
I think it was because they showed the shot of him on the sideline saying that was my fault.
Every good quarterback will do that.
Yeah, I know. But
I think he handled everything, and I thought he handled things so many times so
he
poorly.
Played really well yesterday, with the exception of 2 plays.
When he was a Brown, he handled things poorly many times, including with the media. He contributed for all those who say the Browns pushed him out. And at the time, what the Browns did, I think most of us, I know you don't, Jay, but most people thought it made a lot of sense what the Browns did. Baker contributed to his own demise here in Cleveland in that final season and his behavior after the season. That being said, he has grown up in a big-time way. He's played great these last 2 years, especially this season. He was tremendous. I'm not here to dance on his grave at all. I always felt he couldn't win a Super Bowl. I still am not convinced he's good enough to win a Super Bowl, or I did last week leave open the possibility if you had a perfect team around him that maybe he was just good enough. But kudos to him for having a fantastic season. But
he's the epitome of what we just talked about, a playoff contender versus a championship contender.
Yeah.
You're a playoff contender with him as your quarterback. I don't believe you're a championship
And
contender.
right now, I'd take that 100 times over what we have.
Absolutely.
Of course.
You got dog shit on the bottom of your shoe right now.
You're the doormat of the league again.
Yes.
We are the doormat of the league again, and I honestly thought that those days were behind us, and they're not. And we're picking second, and here we go again.
And this is why I say this is why I'm as aggressive as I am. If you got Baker Mayfield and you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, understand what the limitations are, and understand that you got to stockpile. You got to get it. You can't. You can't just have a Mike Evans on the outside. You can't just have an okay defense. You got to have tip-top weapons and a tip-top defense.
They did have tip-top weapons.
We got to go higher. They
had Chris Godwin got hurt. I mean, there's nothing you can do.
But I'm just saying,
and that Jalen McMillan has really developed over the second half of the year.
Bucky's turned into a star.
They hit on Bucky Irving.
Yeah.
Godwin. We need something else.
They hit on McMillan. They have Evans. Their tight end.
They need a better quarterback. That's what they need.
But here's the thing. They can't. But that's the thing.
Baker had tons of talent around him. I don't think that's.
You can't get another one. That's the point.
We thought it was just that easy.
It ain't. You can't get another one. We're finding that out right now. It ain't that easy.
It's the hardest position in sports.
Yes. So if you can't get better there, you got to get over the top somewhere else.
Yep.
All right, guys, let's pivot to our next topic here. Bo, I'm going to let you set this up after a quick word from Game Time. Live events are the best thing around. Sporting events, concerts, theaters, comedy shows. If it's live, it's better than if it's on tape. And Game Time has made it even easier to get tickets to your favorite live events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. The feature filters out fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account and use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time. By the way, this is probably not a great time for me to say I think Mike Tomlin should be fired, right?
We'll save that for another time.
Okay.
But, Bull, you spoke with Joe Thomas last week.
Yeah. Yes.
And you got an interesting little soundbite that I want everyone to react
did you
to.
play?
You want to set it up?
Is the question in there just so I know how to set it up?
Yeah, the question is in there.
So Joe Thomas was on my podcast last week, and he was great. We talked for about 30 minutes. He was awesome. I probably kept him too long. Shouldn't have kept him 30 minutes, but he was very gracious to take the time. I always enjoy talking with Joe. But that morning, that afternoon when we finished UCSS, before I spoke to Joe an hour later, Mike asked me to ask Joe something specific. So I did. Here we go. I was talking to Mikey McNuggets from my other show, of course, UCSS.
Oh, of course. Say hello for me.
Yeah, I will. He said, hey, somebody tweeted the Browns should hire Joe as the offensive line coach, and Joe retweeted that. What does that mean? Can you ask him? Do you had the Germany experience. Obviously, I know you had a great time with that. Obviously, it's a whole lot more work to be a coach in the NFL. But is that, as you're now have moved further away from playing, is that on the radar at all?
I love coaching. Going over to Europe, part of the reason I wanted to do that is because I did love coaching. I love the opportunity about coaching professionals and helping them reach the potential that is inside of them. But one of the reasons I went there instead of doing it in the States is because those guys work jobs during the day. And I had the whole day to hang out with the kids, to go skiing, to go explore. We get time off on the weekends. And those are things that you just don't have in the NFL or college football. And I think until my kids are out of the house, because I really want to coach them when they're younger, I don't really have any plans to coach in the college game or the NFL game. But I always say, hey, there's a price on everything, right? And unfortunately right now, my price is way higher than the value that I would bring to be a guy that has to give up coaching his kids and move away from his family and live that NFL life. You'd have to pay me way more than I'm worth. And so I don't think that's ever coming up in the future, but I'm always flattered when people send me these tweets, and then I get to troll my friends in the media and my friends in the Browns Nation and repost things like that. And, leave the bait out there for a little bit and let people think about it and, ask that question when I get to come on great podcasts with guys like you, Bull.
Thank you. You won. You got me on that one. Yes, we were trying to create a storyline there.
He cleared that up.
Yeah, he did go on to say later that he would consider it down the line, and he said it right there. I mean, if somebody offered him a crazy contract, he'd probably do it. But,
I think, Jay, correct me if I'm wrong. All you guys weigh in on this. His future isn't as a coach. His future's as a general manager. He's too smart to be a coach.
I always see front office. I don't know why.
I could see that. But he is, like some people say they want to be around the kids. I completely believe him.
I love that answer.
Right?
I love that answer.
Yes, because it's genuine, too. It's real.
So,
he lives it.
So this is let me give you a quick insight. Now, listen, that's like somebody coming to Jay and they're watching the nightly news in Boston. They're like, Jay, I think you're a better guy than this, man. What do you think about 7 o'clock? There you go.
Nope.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason Lloyd, man, listen, I know you like LeBron. You know him.
Click.
How you want to follow? Hey, Bull, I know you did right. 6 hours sound for radio.
Boom.
You see the way that be really working? Like, you get to a point and you be like, well, listen, that was cool for what it was. But them jobs that we talking about, I just mentioned, is very, very taxing. It takes a lot of time and energy and effort. And by the way, they're going to have to come up with the super bag. And the bag that they're going to have to come up with, it's not going to be worth me pulling up for.
That's right.
And the way Joe Thomas just said.
AG, I do a 6-hour show for $1 million a year.
There it is.
But
even for overcompensation, McNuggets, it get kind of tough.
Especially at a certain age.
At a certain age.
Well, I'm saying, so let's look at this long picture.
Yeah.
2 decades, the next 20 years, by the year 2045, his kids will be in college, young adults, potentially married. In 20 years, Jason, can you see Joe Thomas in that span being a coach for the Cleveland Browns?
No, because the former players, you got a window on this thing, and if he's out for too long, you're forgotten, and that's why these guys scramble so hard to get back in.
Because the game is constantly evolving.
Yes, and once you're out for too long, it's really hard to get back in. Now, I mean, John Gruden was out for a while, did get back in, but he was still in the ether of the media and ESPN and everything else.
He's a Hall of Famer. No, the Hall of Famer doesn't matter?
I don't think it matters. I really don't. If he wants to do it, I think he's got to stay around the game. And I know.
Well, he's in the media and he's coaching.
But part-time.
And I honestly, I think that for a guy like Joe, it's with the Browns. Because his expiration date doing anything with the Browns is endless to me.
I would agree with that.
That's so nationally, I agree.
And
right.
Knowing what I know about Joe, I kind of think this is where he would want it to be.
He don't want to go.
Oh, yeah.
He's a Brown.
I agree with you.
You want to be an offensive line coach for the Jaguars or assistant like that?
Right. And here's the other thing, too, like for Joe, when we asked him this when he was on our show, one of the previous times, I asked him specifically about general manager. And he also said, I absolutely have ambitions to do that when I'm done playing dad.
Yeah.
And so whenever that is, and I don't think it's going to be 2 decades. His kids aren't that young.
I probably should amend what I said because as you were talking, I was sitting here thinking about it. DeQuell was out for quite and look at DeQuell now. Now DeQuell, but with the Browns.
Right.
And so I think there's an avenue for him with the Browns whenever he wants it.
I think DeQuell's on that track where I believe he wants to go front office. I think. I might be wrong on that.
Too.
And so maybe for Joe, maybe it is. Because DeQuell was out for quite a while.
But because it's stature in the organization, but not Joe Thomas.
Right.
No, Joe Thomas has top 5 of all time.
Maybe 10 years from now, Joe can pick up the phone and tell him, okay, I'm ready. And they're like, all right, well, come on in.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Joe's such a...
I don't think it would be 2 decades. I think his kids are, 10, teen-ish.
Yeah,
they're not like 2 and 3, I don't think.
No.
So, there may be a decade from being off to college and to where Joe can say to his wife, you know what? I really want to go try my hand at being a front. I've been offered a 1-year position with the Browns as an assistant to the general manager to see how this thing goes.
And y'all got sons. Like them is the best time, the best years. Like I'm going to the cages. You training Corey.
Yes.
Man, baby bull.
Let me tell you something. To your earlier question, I can honestly say I mean this. There is no number out there that you could give me that would make me go to LA and cover LeBron. It
10
doesn't.
million.
No.
Yeah.
No?
I make a good
10
enough
million?
I make a good enough living now. I'm good, man.
That's good for you.
With the ages of where my kids are, where my family is set up
here's
now.
the thing.
I mean, 5 years from now, yeah.
Okay.
But right now,
$30
today,
million, 5 years from now, you can't buy what's coming in the next 5 years.
that's exactly it.
Jason, I so envy you and Bull. The next 5 years for you guys.
Yeah.
And for Bull, I think it's a little longer. But the junior high and high school athletic years
crazy
are I would give if someone asked me, you can go back and relive any 5-year stretch of your life, I think that would be it.
Yeah.
Not the 18 to 23, although that was nuts. There is a different kind of satisfaction. There is a different kind of energy. Watching him chase his rainbow.
Absolutely.
This is
how pathetic I am. AJ has an hour hitting lesson today where they're calling it bat day.
Yeah.
And he's going to try out all the different bats and the unloaded bats to see if we need a new bat. And I am so excited. I am so excited.
And you'll never get that day back.
For 4 o'clock.
You'll never get it back.
He's getting 3 bats. Jason gonna get the identical one and just carry it in his car.
Aaron was at a swim meet last weekend at Rocky River, or not this past weekend, but the weekend before. And this other guy I know from baseball goes, "Damn, what happened to your son? He's jacked now." I'm like,
really?
He's 11. But then yesterday or the Friday, he says to me, "Hey, Dad, Patrick," his buddy Patrick goes, "Patrick, I am going to want to go to the gym and work out tomorrow."
There you go.
And I'm like,
yes,
that's
love
right
it.
where AJ,
because I do everything. I don't want him to have all the weight problems that I've had, so I'm very conscious of him, his eating. And he and his, I went with them just because at the gym, you have to be at least to 14 to go by without an adult.
Right.
So I just kind of supervised, but they were doing weightlifting.
Hey, let them
They were on the elliptical, the bike. I mean, they were all over the place.
If he sticks with swim, he doesn't have to be at an ultra competitive level. Just stick with swim.
I know.
He will be jacked.
Oh,
he will be ripped and jacked.
And discipline. Like the discipline, I always said, the 2 sports that most instilled individual discipline, I thought for me, were I didn't swim, but I knew a lot of swimmers, swimming and wrestling.
Yeah.
You're wholly responsible for everything that you put out on that mat. Nobody else.
Yep.
And if you don't put enough, it's going to show.
Yep.
And if you put in the work, it's going to show.
Yeah.
And those are great sports.
I saw an awesome video of a 5-year-old girl wrestling against boys, and she was like kicking their ass. And they had good background music. It was really cool.
Last thing on Joe Thomas, and then we'll move on and talk a little Ohio State and national championship preview. But if Joe Thomas were to decide, let's just say they paid him enough, you think you'd make a good offensive line coach in the NFL?
Excellent.
Oh, the best.
Yeah.
Excellent. Not even a question.
I think his ceiling on the coaching is a lot higher than offensive line coach.
He'd be a head coach, no doubt.
Yeah.
Joe Thomas is one of the most personable superstars of all time. Like I don't understand. I don't see people at that high of a level that looks at people the same. Like it is not no fake, no front.
Yeah.
It's just like He treats regular people
And real
good.
intelligence.
And real,
Right.
Real
I think
intelligence.
I don't want to
Gets
pretend to know him as well. I think you guys probably know him better than I do.
Yeah, but
I've
not
had-
that well.
Yeah,
But he's very cerebral.
Yep.
I think he's a
Oh,
really
God.
good communicator.
Yep.
I think he would be great in relating to play. I think he would be a phenomenal coach.
Sometimes superstars have a hard time coaching because we've seen this a lot in baseball where superstars you can't relate to the average
Ted Williams
player.
was an awful manager.
Yeah.
But Joe Thomas, and I say this as a 100% compliment, I hope, and nobody takes it any other way, he doesn't act like a superstar. I guess because it's an offensive lineman.
It's
Maybe they
he's
don't
a
in general.
lineman from Wisconsin.
The thing that I loved about Joe was what he exhibited in his first move as a soon-to-be pro athlete. I'm not going to New York. I'm going fishing
with my
Pops.
dad.
And I said at that point, I'm like, oh, Cleveland's going to love this
that's
guy.
right.
Yep. I totally agree.
I said to him as part of this interview, I was like, Joe, and I felt a little awkward because it was putting him up on a pedestal to say this. I said, do you think the next left tackle is going to have an easier time than Jed because he doesn't have to be the guy that followed you? Yeah. And, he's humble about it, but he did admit, he's like, yeah, there is some pressure,
Sure.
following the guy, but he is very humble.
I love him.
For a guy
I just
great
think
as he is.
He's going to be great at whatever he does.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
No matter what.
He was great day one. He's the only lineman that they drafted where I was like, oh, yeah, great move. I hate drafting linemen.
Yeah.
It's a necessity for me, but it's like, you begrudgingly take it. But he was one of the guys that I was just like, oh, that's a great move, and he was just good every year.
Drafting linemen is like putting siding on your house. It does nothing for you,
No,
but
it's
you
worse.
need it.
Yeah.
It's a roof.
Or the roof.
Yeah.
Because siding, at least you're like, now that looks pretty.
All right, fair.
But or all new plumbing.
Winterizing.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I
what
get
you mean?
nothing out
There's
of
no
this.
value.
Nobody.
Go cheap on the roof and see what happens to your house.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys, one last read. We'll talk a little Buckeyes here, but Rocket Money is a must-have for anyone out there. It'll help you find subscriptions that you didn't even know you were paying for. Sometimes you may be paying for them twice. I had a few subscriptions I wasn't aware that I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them down and cancel. It was like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is the personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your savings, your habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Just go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That is rocketmoney.com/lockedon or rocketmoney.com/lockedon. It's Ohio State against Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame in the national championship. We'll do a ton of preview this week, but real quick thoughts on the Texas game, the win on Friday night, and the play that Jack Sawyer made to seal the deal.
Captain Jack. I want him on the Browns.
Everybody's obsessed with him now.
I was obsessed with him all season. I've loved him all season.
I was going to try to downplay him because the way I was working, I was trying to get him to slide. But there's no sliding now. That play he made, he just made himself T.J. Watt. He's part of the Watt clan, and he will get drafted high.
Where was he projected to go? Because I never thought of him in the Bosa category. Like, I never thought
I
of him
still
as
don't think he's that high.
No, he ain't that high.
But, I mean, like, is he even a first-round pick?
Impact player high.
I think he's sneaking.
Was he?
Give me a website. I'll look up their big board.
Oh, he's sneaking.
Just look at ESPN.
PFF.
He's 22 on PFF and on ESPN. Give me one sec.
But Jason wanted to know where he was, like,
prior to, because that is going to boost him.
I think he was probably a second rounder coming into the year.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
But I think he's done nothing but elevate his stock.
And
what I love the most about him is, and this seems trivial, but the way his teammates respond to him. Yeah. He's a leader.
That's not trivial.
When I know some people say, well, that's not tangible on the field. He wasn't going to have Michigan putting the flag in the. That was all Jack Sawyer.
Yeah.
That was all Jack Sawyer. And for me, that matters. That kind of stuff really, really matters to me.
Can I give you an example of what you're talking about?
Yes.
Not perfect comparison, but first thing I thought of when you started saying that.
ESPN, Jason, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
But they have him as an 80th ranked prospect.
Ooh, wow.
That has not been updated yet.
See, I told you.
Yeah, he'll never.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Jason, give us that example. Sorry to cut you off.
When Matthew Dellavedova went undrafted, and I know Sawyer's on a higher level, but hang with me. Delly went undrafted. The Cavs loved Matthew Dellavedova. Loved him. He was the first call they made after that draft. And Mike Brown was telling me they had him in for a workout, and he's Delly. He's that big.
Right.
Can't run, can't shoot.
Doesn't look the part.
Just this little white runt from Australia. But Mike said they would break him up and they would play like 3-on-3. They'd do 3-on-3 runs, and with like some top prospects from that draft. And Delly's team won, and then Delly's team won again. And then they mixed up the teams, and then Delly's team won again. Yeah. And Mike said by the end of that workout, all those mother effers who were top picks were all looking at Delly, and Delly was telling them where to go and what to do.
Wow.
And that to me, obviously Sawyer's a much higher profile
Sawyer's got
player.
the talent to go with that mentality.
Right, but I think that those guys sort of gravitate and look at him sort of that same way.
I think it all depends on what he runs. I think all the Ohio State dudes, we call them combine artists. All the Ohio State dudes, they
work out for the combine.
They train for the combine. If he runs a nice time, if he's anywhere in the 4.6s, he's definitely a first-round pick.
In terms of the game itself, I mean, it was a great game.
It was awesome.
I mean, Texas was on the doorstep of tying it up right there. Yeah. They're the only game. Kudos to Texas. They were the only team that gave Ohio State a competition in this postseason.
That is right.
And they shut down Ohio State's best receiver as a team. They had a great game plan there.
I think. That's all he had.
And I thought it showed a lot because in that circumstance, it would have been easy for them to give up them points. And when you on the field, you looking for somebody to make a play, right? You need a play. Somebody take the football. They're on the goal line. Quinn Ewers was they couldn't guard the back out of the backfield the whole entire second half. He was getting rid of the ball. I'm like, I can't believe they let this dude do this. And then you make a play like that. He already had a couple of sacks earlier in the game.
That's why I think it's funny you said T.J. Watt.
Yeah,
because T.J. Watt makes those
impactful
plays.
That was that play.
Now, the last month he's been invisible.
Nothing.
But
those,
I think he's got an injury. I think it's going to come out
every
soon
time he doesn't play well, somebody comes up with an injury.
No,
that's nonsense. I don't want to hear it.
You're gonna hear within the next week or two that he's undergoing surgery. Just my guess, but don't be surprised when it happens. But T.J. Watt makes those impactful plays, and you're right. You're looking for somebody to stand up. If you think back to Ohio State season, they beat Penn State the exact same way.
Yep.
Penn State was on the doorstep getting ready to take the lead or tie the game late in the game, and on 4 straight plays, they stopped them on 4th and doorstep. And I think this was the similar situation. He stood up and he made a huge play in a big spot, but you're right,
smoke Notre Dame.
Those two teams were very, very closely matched.
What do you guys think of the toss? The toss play on, was it second down, third down at the goal line when they lost?
It was second down on the goal line. They ran up the middle
7.
first, got stuffed. Then they did the toss and made it third.
I actually don't think it's as egregious as people have made it out to be.
No, I know. We have the benefit of the results.
I think Caleb Downs made an unbelievable play to blow that up.
Something.
Hey, he's omniscient. Caleb Downs, I'm going to tell you what.
Now, that's a guy I would take on the Browns in a second.
I love Caleb. Did you see his reaction on the scoop and score?
Bro.
No,
there was an end zone. There was a shot of that play from
behind
behind the end zone. And you really don't even see the action because it's so far off to the right. What you see is the receiver running the route in the end zone and Caleb Downs watching the play. And he stands completely motionless.
Hey, give me 2 minutes, Jay. We'll have the video for
Okay, I won't say anything more about the video.
I feel like he got to show that there's a bunch of videos with the play with music behind it. Like
the Titanic. That will never disappoint.
Hey, man, you know you made a play when the coach tells his wife to go hug you. Hey, man, go hug him.
I love what.
Get over there.
And you couldn't have scripted it any better. They were college roommates in Quinn's freshman year at Ohio State. Yep. Mm-hmm. And I love that ESPN asked him, what did he say after the play? And he said, screw you. I just love I love that whole storyline.
I love watching the command center. I actually was watching the live broadcast, but I love the command center because you got the coaches on the sideline and live reaction to what's going on. And it's more fun to me to watch the coach reaction than to watch what's going on with the game.
I agree.
Now listen, here's a guy that
Sark just was like,
he just dropped his head. Yeah.
Here's a guy I don't tell me about him. I'm not looking at his tape. No, we're not taking Riley Leonard. No. I'm not doing it.
We'll talk about Riley Leonard and Notre Dame, but here's the play that Jay was referring to. And
I love this angle. I think it says a lot about who he is.
The tale of two tapes.
He's not moving. And then when he finally gets to the end zone. That's probably the most exciting athletic moment of his life to this point. And that's how the young man celebrates it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably soaking it in like,
Yeah.
I can't
We're
believe.
going to the national
I
championship.
going
can't
to the
believe.
Natty.
Like, you got to think about that. When you in the goal line, you near death.
Yeah.
And he just took the ball, and then it came into his lap, and then he was gone, and we won.
And
Game
he
over.
made the play on the pitch sweep.
I covered a lot of really good Ohio State defensive backs. I covered Ohio State for almost 10 years, and I saw from Mike Doss, that whole
they had 'em
generation,
all.
Chris Gamble, all those guys.
Hell, go back
that
to Sean
dude's
Springs.
phenomenal.
No,
Hey.
Dustin Fox gets no mention. Tyvis Powell gets no mention.
I didn't cover Tyvis. I did cover Dustin.
That
but
number.
Fox steady.
Are they winning? Are they winning next Monday?
Yes.
They got it, right?
Yes.
8.5-point favorites.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the actual matchup now with the fight? We'll dive into this more in depth throughout
Chip
the week.
Kelly, come on, don't get tight, Chip. Don't get tight, Chip. You call an open game. Yeah, some of them. Boy,
Where is the game? I don't even know.
He beat
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Oh, yeah, Atlanta.
They did do a good job on Jeremiah Smith. They just said, we're not going to let you kill us.
No, they
We're
had like
just-
3-4 guys
we're
on
gonna
him all
One
game.
catch, 3 yards.
We're going to put 10 dudes on you. Hey, but I tell you, a guy that's made himself a lot of money, Travion Henderson. They talked about Junkins a lot.
Man, he's got
But
speed.
Travion Henderson looked like he been on some plyometrics, some rubber band workouts, or he's just fresher than people.
And you get him in the open field, and you know it's over.
I'm like, when did you get that gear? I think he's been running the ball very well. He's catching the ball out of the backfield. If they can mix the run game in, and the defense has been playing lights out. Jack Sawyer obviously is Super Saiyan right now. He'll probably get 2 more sacks again in this game. If they can stop the quarterback runs, Notre Dame's running back I think is injured. They've been trying to sub him in and out of the games. They don't really have a
They
passing
lost
game.
an offensive lineman, too.
Yeah.
He's not playing. Their left tackle already ruled out for
Yes,
Monday's
he's
game.
already out.
Hey, you get up on them. If you get up on them 10, 15, 20 points, it's over. They can't come back.
The one, I'm a little leery of everybody saying, "Oh, Ohio State." You know, sometimes that.
I mean, people have been saying that the first 3 rounds with Ohio State, pretty much.
I mean, if you're
No,
Ohio
not
State,
really. Against Tennessee, they weren't, and
Maybe not
because
Tennessee,
they were
but
coming
since
off the
then-
Michigan game.
Yep.
And then after Oregon, I think everybody was high on them. And look, you take away the Henderson run and the scoop and score, and it's a tie game.
don't you think Ohio State has played the best competition out of anybody?
I do.
Oh,
I do.
The run
they
that they're
beat-
on right now,
Yes.
no one's ever had to
They've
beat
beaten
the type
what?
of teams they've
You know what it
Six
reminds
top
me
10
of?
teams now?
10 years ago, right now, when they had to beat Alabama and Oregon to win the
And
national
then
championship.
they had to blow Wisconsin out to even
Pause.
get
To
there.
get
Yes.
there.
Yeah, that was
a
wow.
pause.
It was a
That's a
reach.
sneaky
but
pause right
It
there.
was sneaky. It was reach. But now I give them. Listen, I'm telling you, Jason. They played the way they did Tennessee, and then they probably think with the Oregon game, we kind of peaked. We saw what we can do with the Oregon.
I can't imagine they can play any better.
And
Not the first half.
and then
Unbelievable.
And then to come out against Texas, and the way Texas, I think Texas on defense kind of surprised them a little bit. I think they had a nice game plan, but they won that game in the way they did. There's no way they go into this game feeling like, I don't think they'll be complacent, but there's no way feeling like that they're going to have some
Jay,
sort of
what
letdown.
piece does Marcus Freeman tie Ohio State? Like, how will that? He had some interesting things to say about Ohio
He
State.
said he made a mistake in going there.
Wouldn't have gone there if he had to do all over.
he had
again.
to
That was
do
a
over
long
again.
time ago that he said that, right?
No, it was right after he got hired at Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think part of that
Wow.
he's probably trying to cater to his base a little bit. I wonder now if he would say it again all these years later. I mean, he had a great career.
Yeah.
He was another guy I covered. I covered him. I really enjoyed getting to know him a little bit. They don't let
He
us that
seems
close
like
to
a
him.
hell
He's
of
a
a
great
guy.
guy.
Speaking
Great
of
guy.
stupid comments, how about what James Franklin talking about, like Notre Dame should be in a conference right in front of? That was weird. That was a weird, awkward.
I can't stand him.
press
I didn't
conference.
see that.
Yeah,
I have no use for James
it was like,
Franklin.
I think Notre Dame took that personally, and whatever, doesn't matter. I guess.
I agree.
Oh, I thought you meant after. I did. I
No,
know
not
what, I
after,
know what
yeah,
you're talking
before.
about.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
what you're
yeah.
talking
He's
about.
not wrong though.
Fine, but why bring it up like right
No.
before the game?
Yeah, it
how does
does-
that help you?
it doesn't.
I think we all agree they should be in a conference. But
Honestly, I'm stunned they beat Penn State. I thought Penn State was going to win that football game. I really did.
They just couldn't throw the ball. That's just, man.
Neither team could.
No,
it's
it was-
incredible how bad the quarterback play was for a semifinal game.
That's what I
between
kept saying. I'm like,
Aller
this
and
is the
Riley
best we
Leonard.
have right
Yeah.
now.
That's what they ain't. This receiver, people talk about it ain't no quarterbacks. Oh, this receivers draft.
yeah,
I mean, there's what, 2? Burton and
No, the best
Ten.
receivers in college football right now are freshmen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, do I have time to elaborate a little on my 2 Steeler hot takes or no?
We actually do. Yeah. Any final thoughts?
I
on
just
Ohio
have one
State?
final thought. Where are we on Ryan Day if he wins this thing?
I mean, he stays, obviously.
Obviously,
No, obviously he stays.
Even if he loses,
what kind of equity does it? What kind of honeymoon does it buy him? Like next year he's got to get back or he's done.
No,
because that seems to be this unrealistic bar for him.
It buys him a lot of
There's
leash.
a lot of people that are either saying they don't care about the Michigan game anymore, or it doesn't really matter, and it mattered more because it used to knock you out of the playoffs.
Right.
And the championship.
I think he's just polarizing. There will always
Yeah.
be people who think that Ryan Day is not a very good coach, even if he'll get the Dabo Sweeney effect.
I mean, he's proven himself here in the playoffs. I still got beef with him from a personal standpoint. But
wow, what did he do? He cut you off
nothing
on
to
the
me.
highway?
Somebody to a friend of ours.
Oh
but,
yeah, I have a problem with that too.
But
Big problem.
whatever.
In fact,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
not-
swayed the way I look at him.
Yeah, I'm
perfectly honest.
kind of not. I'm not a big fan of his because I always say this. But if you win a championship, I mean,
He's done a great job. There's no way to take anything away from him.
Yeah, he has.
We all know Ohio State's super talented, but he's done a great job in this postseason against really talented teams.
I thought they'd either lose to Tennessee or win the whole thing. And if I had to make a bet, I probably would have bet they lost to Tennessee.
Wow, interesting. All right, your Steelers take. I know
Bo,
where you're
actually,
going.
hold the
with
Steelers
this.
takes. Let me get super chats, and then
Yeah.
we'll do the Steelers takes, and then if
Yeah.
it doesn't, we'll get into overtime with them, because that's a good tease for people who want to hear what you got to say. And the Guardians topic that I totally forgot about, we're gonna do Wednesday now when you 3 are back on the pen. I totally
Yeah,
forgot we had
I
a
was wondering.
Totally
like,
forgot. Nope, that's on me. Totally forgot we had a Guardians topic today. Salvatore the 216 says Max Strus can't dribble. He gets stripped every time he touches it.
They was raking him. Give me that.
Salvatore also says, I fear Mobley might have to become our clear number 1 option to win it all. Only 3 teams have won with their best player being a small guard since the 80s. We have to play better versus playoff level physicality.
I mean, he's not wrong about the Mobley piece. We talked about that for over a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right about that.
Brody's bottom line says Washington has a system for its quarterback, not the other way around. Stephen Allen Spencer says the Browns are a quarterback and an offensive coordinator away from contending.
Speaking of which, they're interviewing Clint Kubiak today, who seems like the best choice of the guys
He's
they've
my
interviewed
pick.
so far.
That's who I want.
Go ahead.
He was on the list we had last week as guys connected. He's also interviewing for the Seahawks offensive coordinator job tomorrow, so some competition for Kubiak. Sean Philpott says, I agree with G. Bush. The Browns have 5 picks in the first 102 this year. Hit on the damn picks. The Browns don't need more picks. They should be able to find a quarterback, a running back, a tackle, and a guard without trading down. Philip Chambers also says, I'm with G. Super Bowl has to be the mindset. Y'all the same people who ran Baker out because getting to the playoffs wasn't good enough. Now you just want to get back to the playoffs. It's
say
laughable.
When did we say we just want to get back to the playoffs?
I think that conversation
Yeah.
was to be a contender for
Right.
the playoffs.
Right.
But here's the thing. Like, I want a pony for Christmas, too. and that's not going to happen. So
Yeah,
you
well.
work intermediate.
Do you still want a pony?
I no longer do. I don't even know why I still
Did you
say
actually
that.
want a pony at one
Well,
point?
no, but it was the prototypical, wow, if I could have anything. give
That's
me a-
right.
Now I want a space shuttle.
I want to get you a pony. I think we need to get you a pony.
I want an island.
An island? Yeah,
that is kind of a big boy
That'd
toy.
be better than a
It's
pony.
no longer a
Yeah,
pony.
yeah.
Give me an island.
I think owning an island would be miserable. Can you imagine? You got to do the sewage, the infrastructure.
Well, all right, just give me a plane.
All right.
Okay.
I'll take a
Mike,
plane.
is that it?
All right, next one. Boz Crow 08 says, so G, if we get better players at every position, we'll be contenders.
I didn't say every position, but you better be getting better at a lot of them.
We have 5 more. Next, Charles T. FYI, the Ravens were number 2 in the NFL in penalties this year. Yes, we are just a quarterback away. Also, Charles T. says Washington added 2 defensive tackles, a new coaching staff, have a number 1 receiver. Ertz got back. Robinson
Ertz was
added
a non-factor.
Eckler.
Robinson's fine. He was there.
They did make
McCarron
upgrades.
was
We're
there.
They did make
13th in
upgrades.
penalties.
Defensive pieces.
Yeah,
Browns
they
were
did.
7th.
sure.
Give us a quarterback. Loverboy Charlie says ESPN suggested trading Myles Garrett for J.J. McCarthy. What do you think?
That's an
No.
absolute fail.
God.
No.
2 more. Evan 419 says Jack ranked 22nd. Sounds like a Steeler to me. And
Yep.
G. Bush's bad neck says Abdul Carter is the best end in this draft, and he's the only one I would put opposite of Myles Garrett. And you got to let the others know. G, you got to let the others know how great Abdul Carter is.
Oh, my God.
He's a absolute animal.
I mean, anybody that watches him for one series knows
it doesn't matter how good he is. If they believe one of these quarterbacks is going to be a top 10 quarterback, they have to draft him. And it's irrelevant how good Abdul Carter is.
You're right.
And
You're right.
this leads right to your Steelers rants. But
all right, 2 Steelers rants.
No. I got a stat that's going to lead to your Steelers rants.
Go ahead.
The Browns and Steelers drafted Myles Garrett and T.J. Watt in the same first round, 2017. And this goes to taking quarterback versus all that. In 8 seasons now for each, so 16 combined seasons, 1 playoff win.
Yeah.
And that's from our guy.
Yeah.
From Myles Garrett. Yep.
That's right.
T.J. Watt, 0 playoff wins.
But Alex Van Pelt is the head coach.
Fact.
2 Steelers rants. One I already mentioned real quick. I know this sounds crazy. Mike Tomlin is a very excellent coach. He's one of the best coaches in football. But if I'm the Steelers, I know they won't do this. I would fire Mike Tomlin. He's just no matter how good a coach is, eventually you need a new voice. And they've been stagnant as an organization for a long time. It's certainly not all his fault. But and obviously somebody would scoop him up, and I'd fire Kevin Stefanski for him. But and I don't want to fire Kevin Stefanski, but I would for Mike Tomlin. But if I were the Steelers, I feel like they need to turn the page. He's way too conservative in terms of his in-game management is not as elite as his people skills. His people skills are the best, but they lost in they haven't won a playoff game in forever. Eventually, it's got to cost you.
Did you see the number of what's happened to him in the first quarter of these playoff games?
Just been awful.
I want to say the Steelers were outscored 73-0 in the last 3 playoff game first quarters.
And he punted on a 4th and inches.
Oh,
I mean, come on, you got to go for it there.
Terrible decision.
Mike Tomlin's an excellent coach. It's just eventually you got to go. I think it's the time if I were the Steelers, but they won't do it.
I don't think it's. I mean, I just don't think they got the talent.
Give him a quarterback.
Yeah.
Like it goes back to the conversation we were just having about playoff contender versus championship contender.
Yeah, what if he had Jaden Daniels?
You can get to the playoffs with this cycle of guys that they've run through there since then, but without a top quarterback, you're not going to compete for a championship.
And they tried to do it with Pickett. I mean, they reached, but it didn't
they've
work.
had exceptionally ugly collapses at the end of a lot of these.
They have.
Yeah, especially this year. They lost the last 5, and they were limping into the playoffs. I would have rather seen the Bengals make the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Than the Steelers. The Bengals had a chance to beat anybody they play because of their offense. I do think that.
But they didn't earn it, so
he's almost a victim of his own coaching success.
Yes, right. Yeah.
The Steelers are living in the worst possible place to live.
They're in limbo.
You're in purgatory. You're not bad enough to get really good draft picks, but you're not good enough to make a deep dance into the postseason.
Right. They're really good
you're
draft
drafting
picks.
at like 16, 18, 20. There's gems there. There's pieces there, but there's not the piece.
Well, they need a quarterback, as we talked about.
That's the only
they draft perfectly fine.
Yes.
They draft much better than the Browns drafting
my God.
there.
I wish the Browns had their draft.
But they don't get they haven't been able to get the quarterback.
Give them a top quarterback and then see what might
My second hot take, and this one will also be, I guess there'll be more agreements on this than anything else, but you may all disagree. I believe T.J. Watt is the second most overrated player in the history of sports.
Oh, wow.
The second most overrated player in the history of sports.
Who's the most overrated?
Andy Pettit, the most overrated player. You know what? I'm sorry. Third. He's third. Eli Manning and Andy Pettit are 1 and 2, and then T.J. Watt is third.
Get him, Mike.
No offense,
Get him, Mike.
No offense, Mike.
I'd like him out here and beat your ass now, Bull.
First of all,
take that back.
As bad a shape as I'm in, Mike, as good a shape as you're in, there's not a chance on earth that you can kick my ass. But
yes, he could.
Oh, no chance.
100%.
Bull won't touch me.
No chance.
Well, I take one step back, you trip on your own
You wouldn't
feet.
get me.
I put you in a Kimura lock, I'd snap your arm.
Wow.
Trust me, I get you in a headlock, it's all over. You're not going anywhere.
touch me.
Now how come they don't call it white on white crime?
That's white on white crime.
I kind of
Bull's
not white. Bull's not white.
I'm not really white.
Gold is what they call it.
I'm not really white.
Let's rent out a coliseum in the area.
We can do rough and
and let's have a pay-per-view
I'm
celebrity
boxing
boxing
nonsense.
match.
I'm gonna die just from being in the ring. But so that's it. So T.J. Watt, third most overrated player. Eli Manning is totally overrated. Mike, doesn't mean he's not good. It means he's overrated. But Andy Pettit gets talked about because of the amount of games he's pitched in the playoffs. He was on the Yankees all those years.
Wait, Bo, go back to T.J. Watt though. What in seriously?
Yeah, what sparked
in a minute?
this?
Yeah, why?
Because
is he elevated to that category as opposed to where he was 2-3 weeks ago when?
No, he's always been that. I'm just. When Jay said the thing about injury, I'm like, every time this guy doesn't play well, somebody makes the injury excuse for him. When other players are injured, I don't make that excuse. I never made an excuse for Baker or other. Myles Garrett's hurt every minute. He's always hurt.
Body hurt right
Nobody
now.
makes the excuse about I've never heard anybody say, well, Myles Garrett wasn't as good because he got hurt. You know, all we ever hear of Myles Garrett is doesn't play as well in November, December. TJ Watt has had fantastic talent around him. Myles Garrett has had dog shit talent around him.
Right?
Now I'm exaggerating on the top 3 of all time, obviously.
Right.
I just think, to me, Myles Garrett is
Right.
way better than TJ Watt.
Yeah. I mean, that means he's just really good.
TJ Watt's an excellent player.
I mean,
he's
a walking Hall of Famer.
I just don't
right?
buy that he's being talked about as like one of these all-time great players. I don't buy it.
He's probably one of the best pass rushers of all time.
I don't think so.
Well,
Is he a Hall of Famer?
The numbers show. Oh, he's definitely
Yes.
a Hall of Famer.
Then you can't be the 3rd most overrated player of all time.
can be.
if you're a Hall of Famer.
I just said I was exaggerating a little bit.
You can't be in the top 10.
By the way,
He's not a lock Hall
By
of
the
Famer.
way, the Duke of knee jerk.
not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
this might be transferable.
Yeah.
These reactions, these knee jerk reactions. From
They're not
Bull
knee-jerk.
In the last 2 weeks have
Not
been
knee-jerk.
wild.
Yeah, this one's big.
Now,
This is crazy.
My flip-flop on Stefanski, but these are not changes of
I mean,
opinions.
but you said the man is not one of the best pass rushers of all time. And you said, but he's still a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, it doesn't really make much sense.
At all.
I'll grant you that. I'll grant you that. I mean, Eli Manning's getting in the Hall of Fame, but I would not vote for him.
Beat Brady twice.
You know
in the
what's
Super Bowl.
stunning to me is that Eli Manning's only playoff wins came in their 2 Super Bowl runs. He didn't win another playoff game outside of those years.
He was an above-average quarterback
Cool
the rest
with
of his
me.
career.
Bundle them all together.
Yeah,
It's
you're
so
right.
dumb that you just go to the Hall of Fame because you won 2 Super Bowls. To me,